Are you unhappy with my current breasts? The next day, April woke up in Aaron's arms. She had awakened with his arms around her countless times before, but had never felt so close to him. He was the first man that she had had sex with. Even thinking about it made her face blush and heart race. She was dazed slightly when she raised her head to look at his delicate face and straight nose. Years ago, she had been engaged to Isaac and had thought that she would spend the rest of her life with him. She had never thought that she would meet Aaron and willingly give him her virginity. She had no regrets. She believed everyone would be cherished by someone at some point in their lives. She also believed that he was the one. Suddenly he moved slightly. April hurriedly turned her face away and closed her eyes. A while later, she heard his shallow breathing above her head, and then a warm kiss landed on her forehead. She felt him gently move his arms from around her and then get off the bed as quiet as a mouse. His careful moves made April feel that he was slightly sweet and that she hadn't suffered that awful pain last night for nothing. As he left the room, April opened her eyes. She stayed in bed for a few minutes before getting up. Once she got on her feet, her legs began shaking. It was so painful. She felt like she had finished a marathon. She also still felt severe pain in her private area. She managed to walk out of the bedroom. In the living room, she heard Aaron talking on the phone. Send us breakfast early. My wife will get hungry once she wakes up. Send us extra food. My wife eats like a horse. We'll take 4 servings. April was speechless. As Aaron ended the call, he raised his head to see April standing by the door. Her hair was disheveled and slightly messy. However, because of her great skin and pretty face, she still looked beautiful with that messy hair. She was a little pale, though, and he couldn't help wanting to show her tender care upon seeing her. Aaron stood up and walked over to her. While brushing her hair with his fingers, he said to her affectionately, "Why don't you get some more sleep?" April looked up at him and said, "What did you say to the hotel staff just now? What does 'my wife eats like a horse' mean?" She had just woken up and her eyes were still watery. Added to her complaining tone, she was almost grumbling in a flirtatious manner. Aaron, who had had sex for the first time yesterday, felt his lower stomach tighten. At that very moment, he had an impulse to throw her onto the bed again. "Don't you eat like a horse?" April sighed. "I do eat a lot, but you don't need to tell others about it." Aaron proudly put his arm around her slim waist and said, "What's wrong with that? It's lucky for girls to have great appetites. How much luck have I accumulated to meet a great eater like you?" April laughed. "I wonder who used to say that I know nothing but eating, like some kind of animal." Aaron blinked and hurriedly explained, "In fact, I had a dream. I always wanted to have a happy little piglet and to give her all the best things I have. Now that dream has been fulfilled." April smiled and couldn't help but put her arms around his neck. "What is going on with you? Why are your words so sweet right now?" Aaron lowered his head and put his nose against hers. As their breath mixed together, he said, "I'm not sure. I felt annoyed watching you eat before, but now I just love it." April burst out in laughter, feeling sweet. "We should stay around here today. Just walk on the beach nearby and for the rest of the day. We'll visit White Beach tomorrow," said Aaron. April was surprised and very touched. "How did you know that I'm tired? Why are you suddenly so considerate?" "I am a considerate person." Aaron didn't agree with the way April asked that question. April smiled without saying anything. A while later, Aaron added, "Sylvia said that the first time having sexual intercourse can be difficult for almost all women, as it might cause the waist and back to be sore. I've thought about that. I'm much stronger than ordinary men, so you should be even more exhausted than women usually would be." "I'm sorry, I don't really know how strong ordinary men are." April curved her lips downwards as she didn't see a way of making this comparison. Aaron thought for a moment and then said, "Roughly speaking, I'm 3 times stronger." April rubbed her nose, saying, "Sylvia knows so well about a woman's first time having sexual intercourse. Does that mean that she's already done it with Jeremy?" "No," said Aaron without thinking. April responded, "How do you know? Like you've been living under their bed?" "They haven't even gotten married, so how can they have had shared a bed?" Aaron snorted coldly. "If Jeremy attempted to touch my sister before marrying her, I'd break his legs." April wanted to laugh, but also felt a little unhappy. "But you touched me and we aren't married either. I guess your sister is more precious to you than I am. Men are all selfish," she said. "That is not true. I know myself. I am 100% sure that I will be responsible for you after having sex with you. However, Jeremy isn't me. Even though we're good friends, I can't possibly know what exactly he's been thinking. Also, he's all about serving in the army right now. If he refused to come back or sacrificed his life, Sylvia's virginity would still be wasted. So I've threatened Jeremy that if he dares to touch Sylvia before they get married, I'll no longer be his friend, said Aaron in a cold and deep voice. April paused for a second. She even felt a little sorry for Jeremy. That makes sense, but it's inappropriate to talk about your friend sacrificing his life, isn't it? I'm telling the truth. Aaron knitted his eyebrows and wore a complicated expression. From the moment he became a special forces soldier, he should be ready to sacrifice his own life for the country. I was always ready, but later on an accident happened and I lost the qualification to stay there. April fell into silence for a short while and picked his hand up and said, Now is good. I can't bear the pain of losing you. Aaron's eyes glowed. He abruptly dragged April toward him and gave her a scorching hot kiss. April hadn't brushed her teeth, so she didn't want to involve her tongue, yet he always knew how to break into her mouth. He didn't spare her from that kiss until her lips were red and swollen. What are you doing? We were talking. Why did you suddenly kiss me? April glared at him while rubbing her wet lips. You care so much about me. I was so touched I couldn't control myself, Aaron responded with a smile. April's face instantly started burning. Who cares about you? I don't even want to talk to you. As she turned around, Aaron followed closely behind her. What do you want? She asked. I want to see you, said Aaron in a bossy tone. You watched me the entire day yesterday. April felt quite uncomfortable under his gaze. Yes, what should I do? I just can't get tired of watching you. What exactly did you grow up on? Aaron said, confused. On rice, like you? April found his question both funny and annoying. When she brushed her teeth, he washed his face beside her. While brushing her teeth, April suddenly mumbled a question with toothpaste in her mouth. That's not right. Sylvia hasn't had sexual intercourse for the first time. How could she know so clearly about all that? She said that she learned it from novels, said Aaron. She recommended a few segments about what CEOs and their girlfriends would do after they had sex, and I've read those. April spouted the water in her mouth. Aaron looked at her with a frown and asked, Why are you so exciting? April coughed loudly and then replied, She made you read those kinds of things, and you did? Why not? You can learn from any book. Aaron glanced at April and said, I think those books are way better than the sweet talk guides that Marvin bought me. You can even learn some sex positions from them. To be honest, I used to feel that they were boring, but now I think those books have reflected some of the mindsets and desires of women. April now understood why he had said so many pleasant words today. So after reading those books, have you discovered any differences between you and the CEOs in the books? April was curious if Aaron had finally realized that CEOs were normally less talkative than he was and would never be so super narcissistic. Aaron only thought for 2 seconds before answering the question. They aren't as good as I am. April couldn't think of a word to say. Aaron made his final comment. They're all shy on the outside, but wild on the inside. Yeah, the others are wild on the inside, but you're wild on the outside, April thought. But in fact, I didn't pay much attention to the characters. I mostly focused on the sex, Aaron continued. So it turns out that women like to do it from the back. I think you enjoyed it last night. April was too shy to continue the topic. She never should have asked. I didn't enjoy it. You made me do it last night, April said, blushing. You could have said no, but didn't. On the contrary, you were quite cooperative, said Aaron. April hurriedly washed her face with cold water to cool herself down. Take your time thinking about it alone. I'm going for breakfast. Thankfully, breakfast was served quickly. At first, April felt that Aaron had ordered too much food, but then she discovered that she had eaten 2.5 servings. Did I eat too much? After breakfast, she was shocked by how much she had eaten. Don't you always eat like this? Aaron wasn't surprised. Fortunately, you don't gain weight easily. About that, April shared the same opinion with him. If I get fat someday, will you dislike me? She asked. I'll be okay with it as long as your breasts get fat too. Aaron abruptly gave a deep smirk. April didn't understand why the conversation had suddenly turned a little dirty again. Are you unhappy with my current breasts? No, but I'll be cool with it if they become even larger, Aaron said while landing his eyes on her chest. April hurriedly stood up, saying, Let's go for a walk. I'm stuffed. Shouldn't you be lying down since you're too full? Aaron was a little confused. I'm not a pig. April was a little unhappy. No? There was a smile in Aaron's eyes. Don't you touch me today. April pretended to be angry. She put on her sandals and walked toward the beach. Aaron closed the door and then caught up with her and held her hands. April threw off his hands and ran away. However, she only managed to get a few steps away before feeling like her legs were nearly disabled. You're so silly. We had that intense sex last night and now you're just tried to run so fast. Aaron bent over in front of her and said, Here, I'll carry you. April looked at his wide shoulders, hesitated for a few seconds, and then climbed onto his back. He had made her so tired last night, so it was reasonable for him to carry her now. Episode 222. Your husband is really bossy. Aaron carried her for a while. His slippers made walking difficult, so he threw them away and kept walking with bare feet. The sand on the beach was soft and fine, so he didn't feel any discomfort while walking. After a while, April asked him to put her down. After that, they began frolicking on the beach. April picked up a stick and rode on the beach with it. Aaron is a pig. Aaron threw her a threatening glance. April smiled and continued writing, April likes pig. Aaron gave a big smile. A while later, he picked up a stick as well and wrote, We're two piglets. April smiled without letting him see. She turned around, put her arms around his waist, and buried her face deep in his arms. Aaron held her tight. The waves washed their legs. They had seafood for lunch at a restaurant that had many good reviews. They ordered the local specialty. The restaurant was located on a mountainside, so they enjoyed the jungle view during their lunch. However, they could still see the ocean if they looked far into the distance. While they were eating, Aaron got a call from Richard. I've seen your Instagram moment. You're having lunch on a mountain. The view's nice, said Richard. Aaron nodded and responded, Yes, this place has a nice view. Richard laughed and asked, How's the vacation? You having a good time? Aaron glanced at April, who was sitting in front of him enjoying ice cream. He had never felt so comfortable before. Sure, it's much more interesting than having a vacation with you, he said. Is that appropriate for you to say? Richard felt frustrated. If you think it's interesting, just say that it's interesting. Why do you have to bring me into it? I kindly went on vacation with you because you were bored being alone. I went on vacation with you, so I learned how boring it is to travel with men. Aaron sighed. Honestly, it's like hell and heaven. Richard didn't know what to say. Hell? That was such a hurtful metaphor. Don't be disappointed. When you go on vacation with your future girlfriend, you'll know what it feels like. Aaron chuckled. But sadly, your girlfriend is not likely to be as good as my Sang-Sang. Shouldn't have called to check on you. Bye. Before ending the call, Richard added, I almost forgot to tell you. Shengwei is coming back next Monday. Aaron's happy face instantly froze. April noticed. What's wrong? She asked. Nothing. Aaron dropped the phone and lowered his head to eat silently. April spent a moment observing him, then felt that he had suddenly become weird. However, that weird mood he had didn't last long. Soon enough, he turned back to normal. After lunch, they walked back to the hotel. April laid on the lounge chair on the balcony for a nap. The weather was hot, but the breeze was nice. Before long, April fell asleep. While deeply asleep, she felt someone pinch her nose, which stopped her from breathing. She opened her eyes to see Aaron standing beside her. She hurriedly pushed him away and complained, Why did you wake me up? I'm going to swim, said Aaron. You can swim if you want to, but why did you wake me up? April noticed that Aaron was wearing the swim trunks that she had brought for him from a shopping mall. He had taken his shirt off already. Yesterday, he had tanned a little. His bronzed skin had a healthy luster under the bright sunlight. Every single muscle of his was perfect. His hip was hugged tightly in the swim trunks, looking round and strong. His thighs were tight as well. His legs weren't thickly haired. That perfect body shape of his could really make people's faces blush and hearts thump. It also could lead people to imagine certain kinds of things. April's face immediately started burning when her eyes landed on the bulging area in the middle of his swim trunks. What happened last night replayed in April's head, and she couldn't help it. Aaron sensitively grasped the look in her eyes. Do you need me to wear these swimming trunks or not? He asked with a proud smile. April paused. He gave her a flirty wink and said, "There's just the two of us, so I can go naked." April shivered and her drowsiness was gone entirely. "Why go naked? Are you crazy?" she said. "I thought you'd like to see me naked as you were staring at my crotch area just now." Aaron wore an innocent expression. "I wasn't." April blushed and immediately denied it. "Your face sold you out." Aaron slowly pulled on the edge of his swim trunks to show her the beautiful curves inside. "Don't take that off." April stood up from the chair, saying, "If you take them off, I'll leave." "I really don't understand women." Aaron shook his head and said, "Would you like to join me?" April shook her head and replied, "I don't have the strength for that." She didn't want to die in the pool. "Then you can sit there and watch me. Don't go anywhere else," Aaron ordered. "Why?" April was unhappy about his bossy manner. "Because you need to watch me. If you're not going to watch, why would I swim?" He made himself sound very reasonable. April covered her forehead with a hand and said, "So you didn't need to swim at all before you met me?" "That's different. After I met you, I finally found the true meaning of swimming," Aaron responded proudly. "What is it?" April felt flattered. "To show you." After saying that, Aaron leaped into the water in a beautiful way and fleetingly swam to the end of the pool 20 meters away. He then thrust his feet against the wall, dived back in, and nimbly swam back. He was so fast that within a blink he had returned to April's side and bobbed his head up. As he flipped his hair, the glistening water drops splashed all over. His black hair stuck to his face, but it didn't make him look less handsome. "How was it? Am I good?" Aaron wiped his face and proudly looked at April. The words, "Praise me," were almost written on his face. April was agape. A short while later, she finally nodded and responded. April was agape. A short while later, she finally nodded and responded, "Yes, you're amazing." "You're so easy. I've just quickly shown you a slight part of what I can do." Hearing her compliment, Aaron smiled and then quickly swam to the other side of the pool with the backstroke and came back with the butterfly stroke. Then he began doing freestyle swimming and the breaststroke. April was stunned by how good he was at swimming. Every time he swam a lap in the pool, he would stop to ask April if he was good. So April spent the next hour and a half watching him show off his swimming skills in the pool. She even felt like she was watching an Olympic swimming competition. Aaron was trying very hard and didn't seem to be tired at all, which made April think that he was a total freak. Ordinary people would be tired after 2 laps. As he came out of the pool, April poured him a glass of juice as she sincerely didn't want him to exhaust himself. "You can stop now. You're really amazing." "Do you like to watch me swim then?" Aaron turned back to smile at her. His eyes were shining with a watery luster, making him look like an innocent boy. April's heart was softened. "I do," she nodded. "Then I'll always swim for you to watch." Aaron grinned and showed his white teeth. After dinner, Aaron suggested that April to do a water therapy spa treatment as she was feeling truly unwell. "No," said April unhappily. "I'm covered in hickeys from you. I'll need to strip for the spa. It would be embarrassing if other people saw those hickeys." Aaron thought for a moment and then agreed with her. He wouldn't let any other people see April's body, not even women. Aaron thought for a moment and then said, "In that case, go for a massage." April spent a short while thinking and then agreed. At the massage place, an attendant guided them to a room with a sea view and then asked, "Do you have a specific requirement for your massage therapist?" "Hers has to be a female, and mine has to be a male. Both of them need to be straight." Aaron pointed at April with his chin while speaking. The attendant was puzzled for a moment, but then he smiled. "Do you have to add that last sentence?" April felt quite embarrassed. "Of course I did. There are so many gays nowadays." Aaron responded in a bossy manner. "Not to mention the fact that you're so pretty while I'm so strong. The probability of gays falling in love with me isn't lower than that of females falling for me. However, I asked for a masseur so you won't be jealous." April laughed and joked, "You can get me a masseur so I won't be jealous." "Forget it." Aaron gave her a threatening glance. As the masseuse came in, April heard Aaron say to her in English, "Please do not massage her hips and thighs." The masseuse was a little speechless, but still she nodded. While doing the massage, she said to April jokingly, "Your husband is quite bossy." April grinned awkwardly. After the massage, Aaron asked April to give the masseuse a good tip, and April agreed. While leaving the place, April asked with curiosity, "Why did you want me to give her a great tip?" "Because she said that I'm your husband." Aaron responded proudly. She has great eyes, so we must give her a great tip. April couldn't think of a word to say. You're really good at wasting money, she thought. Back in the bedroom, April threw herself straight onto the bed and fell asleep. Aaron didn't touch her, but let her sleep quietly. The next day, April woke up to see Aaron's dark, sunken eyes. Are you still sore? He asked. April's legs shivered. The look in Aaron's eyes reminded her what he had done the night before while last she was sitting on the kitchen counter. Do you want to do it again? She asked. Aaron stayed silent, but the look in his eyes explained everything. You should at least give me a couple of days to recover. I'm still feeling uncomfortable. April curved her lips downward. She did feel extreme pleasure when having sex with him, but he was crazily energetic. One round of sexual intercourse with him made her feel like laying in bed for 3 days. Is it so bad? Do you need me to come take a look? Aaron looked curiously between her legs, saying, Should I go and get some medicine for you? It's very kind of you, but I don't want to get medicine for something like this. April didn't even dare to stay any longer in bed under his gaze. I need to take a cold shower, said Aaron with a pitiful look in his black eyes. Suit yourself. April blushed and turned her face away. They took a plane to White Beach. After arriving, April found the beach more beautiful than any beach she had ever seen before. Like all the other young girls, she took pictures everywhere. Young Junting carried her bags and quietly followed behind her. Looking at the young and energetic girl before him, he suddenly felt that in a journey, many things could be even better than sex. Even simple things, like strolling on a beach, watching the sunset, and eating together. All those things were meaningful too. Episode 223. See, your body sold you out. After taking some pictures on the beach, April took off her outerwear, exposing her red swimsuit. It was a 2-piece swimsuit with a miniskirt and a sling top that emphasized her slim waist and long legs. Aaron found that April liked red. Some people looked cheesy in red, but not her. The red swimsuit made her skin look extra fair. Wearing her sunglasses, she looked like a star. Many men on the beach sneakily gave her a second glance. Aaron was unhappy about that. He hurriedly took off his shirt and wrapped it around her waist. What are you doing? I haven't gotten the water yet. April was displeased. Don't get in the water here, said Aaron. You can swim in our pool back at the villa. What did I come to the beach for if I can't swim in the sea? April said through clenched teeth. We'll buy you a 1-piece swimsuit tonight. Then you can swim in the sea, he said. April was so angry that she even laughed. If you keep acting like this, I'll never come to a beach with you again. Who else do you want to come with? I'm telling you, if you ever come to a beach again, I have to be there. You're not allowed to go to any beach with any of your friends. Aaron put his arms around April as if to declare his ownership of her. April was very upset. She only wanted to swim on the most beautiful beach in the world, but he wouldn't let her do that. For this reason, she didn't talk much to him all day while they were at White Beach. Back in the hotel, Aaron took out an Occidental-style sexy bikini set and said, Don't say that I didn't let you swim. Here, put this on. We'll swim together later. April's stomach even twitched because of how angry she was. I don't remember bringing bikinis like these. Where did you get these? I asked the staff of the hotel to buy them for me. April didn't know what to say, but silently looked at the bikini set. They were made from very little cloth, and the tiny bikini bottoms had straps on both sides. She could imagine how easy it would be to take them off. I'm sorry. From now on, I only wear 1-piece swimsuits. April smiled coldly and said, Because you wouldn't let me swim in the sea today. I did that for your own good. There were so many people on the beach, it was like a public bath. Some children even peed in it, and some people even have sexually transmitted diseases. Those people paid no attention to hygiene. Aaron said very seriously, Not everyone is as clean as I am. You didn't say that earlier today, she said. What did I say back then? I can't remember, he said. April couldn't think of a word to say and only felt that Aaron was boundlessly shameless. She didn't want to talk to him and headed directly to the restaurant for dinner. April, do you really not want to wear these? Do you know how much they cost? Aaron followed behind her and kept talking. They cost me 2,000 Australian dollars. April reeled and nearly fell to the ground after hearing that. Those are just bikinis. Do you have to spend so much money on a bikini set? Those are made from 3 tiny pieces of cloth. I said I wanted the best, and the hotel staff got me the most expensive set. I guess when there's very little cloth, they become expensive. Aaron looked at April innocently. Don't I have your wallet? Didn't you say that I'd be in charge of the cost during our time here? April knew that he was rich, but her heart still ached because of the super expensive bikini set. You can pay online, Aaron sighed. Just throw them away if you really don't want to wear them. I shouldn't have bought them. April now felt that her liver was aching. Aaron was so good at wasting money. April guessed that was because he didn't know what it felt like to become a poor person after being a rich one. Are you aware that you've just lost $100 million? Forget it. Just put the bikini set in the room. I'll wear them later, all right? All right. Aaron nodded, and a cunning look flashed in his eyes. He had now learned that when he wanted to buy her something again, he should choose the expensive one so she would do what he wanted. When they returned from dinner, Aaron placed the bikini neatly in front of April. April looked at him and felt as if she were looking at a big-tailed wolf that was almost wagging its tail. I need to get some rest before going to swim. April understood that she would have to give him what he wanted tonight, as his intention was so obvious, so she stopped struggling. All right. Aaron nodded. At 8 o'clock, April put on the bikini, then walked out of the bathroom. Even looking at herself in the mirror made her feel very shy. The bikini was way too revealing. It basically only covered the 3 important areas. On the sides of her thighs, nothing existed but 2 strings. She took a deep breath, then covered herself with a bath towel and walked out. Seeing her, Aaron's eyes glowed like the stars in the sky. He had seen her naked, but now he learned that she could also be very beautiful wearing very little. Her long, straight, snow-white legs and deep cleavage were exceedingly fascinating and charming. He thought it would be even better if she weren't wrapped in a bath towel. What are you looking at? April gave him a threatening glance, then walked straight toward the pool. Aaron followed closely behind her. He saw her walk to the poolside and slowly put down the bath towel. Her snow-white, slim back and plump hips immediately fell into his sight, reminding him of that night when they had done it for the first time. That night she looked so pretty as well. Aaron couldn't hold back any more. He lunged forward and lifted her. April hurriedly put her arms around his neck and asked, What are you doing? I'm doing you, Aaron nodded. His straightforward words made April blush. That's not what I meant. What are you doing? I just told you. Aaron carried her to the cane bed by the poolside. April felt very uncomfortable. She had guessed that he might be tempted by her when she put on the bikini, but she had expected it to happen at least after she went into the water. However, he started taking action before she had even gotten into the pool. Isn't this awful? I haven't even gotten into the water yet, April said through clenched teeth while slapping his arm. Put me down. You can go in later. Aaron held her tightly. Will I have the strength to swim later? If you don't put me down, I'll never swim with you again. April threatened him angrily. I'm wearing a bikini, not sexy lingerie. What's the difference? Aaron thought. However, her threat did change his mind. He thought for a second, then turned around and carried her into the water. It was all right. He had been waiting for so long, but he could wait a little longer. She was weak anyway. When she got exhausted in the pool, he would be able to do whatever he wanted to her. Aaron thought it through and hoped that it would happen soon. April swam far away from him the moment she went into the water. However, she was really not good at swimming. Thankfully, the pool was shallow and her feet could reach the bottom. Aaron stood beside her, watching her swim. Under his gaze, April just couldn't relax, so she asked him awkwardly, Why don't you swim? Aaron crossed his arms in front of his chest and said, We've been out for an entire day today. I'm a little tired. You can get tired? April gave him a weird look. You dove 20 meters deep the first day, but you didn't get tired then, did you? I didn't sleep well last night, said Aaron, because I missed you too much. April's face reddened. She refused to talk to him again, but enjoyed swimming alone. However, she ran out of energy after swimming 2 laps in the pool. Aaron grasped the opportunity, swam to her swiftly, and put his arms around her in the pool. Tired so soon? Noticing Aaron's big smile, April said sourly, You've been waiting for this moment, haven't you? How can that be possible? Aaron responded while carrying her to the poolside. April might have believed him if she was as silly as a pig. He put her on the cane bed, then said to her attentively, "You're tired. Let me give you a massage." After saying that, he began massaging April's shoulders, which were still wet, without waiting for her response. "You're hurting me. I don't want your massage." April frowned because of the pain and shrugged her shoulders to stop him from touching her. All right, I'll stop." Aaron took his hands away from her shoulders, then moved those hands downward. "What are your hands doing?" April started blushing. "April, I want it." This time, Aaron was finally honest. He directly made April sit on his lap, their wet and warm bodies pressed against each other. "This has always been your true purpose, right?" April gave him a scornful glance. "April, don't you want it? See, your body has sold you out again." Aaron put his head near hers and gently bit her lips again and again. Being kissed by him, April turned as red as a boiled shrimp. After experiencing that kind of thing, some of her desires had been developed. Once he touched her, her body automatically had an honest reaction. She was a little vexed. "Can you let me take a shower first? And we're outdoors. There are only the two of us in this villa. What are you afraid of? And it's late at night. You can take a shower later. I can't wait." Aaron was unable to hold himself back anymore. April wanted to cry but failed to shed any tears. It would be their second time, and they were going to do it outside. That was way too wild. "But there are people next door," she said. "So you should keep your voice down." Aaron lowered his voice. "Can you make it quicker?" April begged in a small voice. Aaron was delighted. He took April's words as an obvious compliment, so how could he possibly agree to her request? "That'll depend on your performance." After saying that, Aaron pressed his lips against hers while taking out a condom and tearing open the wrapper. April was speechless. She had no idea when he had sneakily made these preparations. The second time was far less painful than the first time. April adapted quickly and felt much better than she had the last time. However, she was still shy and bit her lip the whole time. Aaron worried that she might injure her own lip, so he lowered his head to kiss her deeply. On the cane bed by the poolside, their bodies entangled together. Sadly, April found that the second time lasted even longer than the first time. When it finally ended, she couldn't even lift her fingers. Aaron carried her to the bathroom to take a shower. Before carrying her out, his hands were all over her. While April was falling asleep on the bed, a hotel attendant delivered some food. Refreshed, Aaron walked into the bedroom while stirring a bowl of beef noodles with chopsticks. He said, "See how nice I am to you? I knew that you'd be tired, so I ordered food ahead of time." April gave him a threatening glance and responded, "I've served you. Now it's your turn to serve me. Feed me." "When did you serve me?" Aaron raised his eyebrows. "You sat on top of me the whole time while we were doing it. You barely even moved. I was carrying you in the shower. I even washed your body. You won't be able to find another man as good as I am." Sorts of styles that made her. Episode 224. She actually wants to give Uggs to another man as a gift. "You..." April blushed scarlet. Thinking about what had happened earlier, she felt as if her head was going to start smoking. She wanted to refute him, but after racking her brain, she actually failed to find a single word to say. He was right. She barely moved and simply sat on top of him. He was surprisingly strong even when he was on the bottom. April felt that she would die of shame if she kept thinking about all of that. "All right, you're always right. I won't do it with you again," April sneered. "Since you're so good at it, you should fulfill your needs by yourself." Hearing that, Aaron instantly got anxious. "I was wrong. You're great and selfless. You're even greater than People's Liberation Army." April felt seriously speechless hearing him compare her to the People's Liberation Army. However, she was pretty happy to let him do all the hard work during sex. Over the next couple of days, Aaron made April spend almost all night in bed, doing that thing. Ever since the first time, Aaron seemed never to be tired of sex. As a consequence, April was tired and sluggish during the day, and her limbs were limp the whole time. What made her even unhappier was that Aaron seemed to become more and more energetic. Even though she had been increasing her physical strength somewhat as well, she still felt that the difference between him and her was getting bigger and bigger. The day they left Hamilton Island, April couldn't even remember what the views on the island looked like, only the bed in the villa. Aaron was the opposite. While boarding, he felt quite refreshed and said, "Spending vacation by the sea is indeed interesting. We should come to Seaside more often. How about once a quarter?" April's legs shivered. She was frightened of the sea now. 6 months from now, or even an entire year from now, she still wouldn't want to come to the seaside again. "Why don't you say anything? Are you unhappy?" Aaron raised his eyebrows while stroking the ends of her hair. Can we talk about it later? I still need to study," April murmured. "Then we'll come in the summer. We can stay by the sea for a whole summer vacation." Aaron nodded, satisfied. "I'll probably think about that if we only have sex once every 2 or 3 days. April's legs even twitched. "What do you mean? We only have sex once a day." Aaron frowned. "I've checked online. 80% of people do it twice or 3 times a night." "But your 1 time equals 7 times for everyone else," April complained. "Am I so good?" Aaron was very proud and even a little shy. April covered her forehead with her hand. She didn't want to continue the conversation with him. Last night he was crazily excited during sex. For that reason, April's legs were still trembling even now. "But you enjoyed it as well." Aaron followed behind her. "I don't think we should reduce the frequency." "But I can't take it," April complained. "That's why you should practice," said Aaron. The flight attendant blushed and reminded them in a low voice, "Can you please not talk about that at the gate? There are passengers behind you." April's face immediately reddened. She truly wanted to find a hole and crawl in. She lowered her head and quickly walked inside. Meanwhile, she silently swore that she would never take this flight again. An hour after the plane took off, Aaron went to the bathroom. "Just now I heard those flight attendants talking about us when I was in the bathroom," he said to April when he came back. April didn't want to ask any questions because she could roughly guess what those flight attendants were talking about. As she was thinking, Aaron continued, "They said that you're so lucky to have me, whose 1 time is as good as everyone else's 7 times. They also said that I'm tall and strong and handsome." April didn't want to ask, but she could guess. As she had thought, Aaron started talking in the next moment. "They said that you're really lucky that you're with me, who can do it 7 times a night, and that I'm tall and handsome." April didn't respond. "See how lucky you are?" Aaron's lips curved in a smile as he said proudly, "The other girls are all jealous of you." April opened her mouth but realized that she actually didn't know what to say. Lately, she found that she was about to be brainwashed by Aaron's false reasoning. She fell into deep thought. Was she really so bad at sex? According to the schedule, they would stay in Melbourne for the last night of the trip. Today and tomorrow, they would stroll around in Melbourne and then fly back to Lukesville at 5 p.m. It was 11 a.m. when they arrived at Melbourne Airport. On the ride to the hotel, April messaged Winnie on WhatsApp. "Is it good or bad if a man is too good at sex?" Winnie. "Huh? You finally used condoms?" April blushed slightly as she lowered her head to reply. "Answer my question." Winnie. "Is Aaron good?" He didn't do it 7 times a night, did he?" April. "No, but his 1 time lasted almost as long as 7 regular times." Winnie. Oh my. So when an ordinary guy needs 7 condoms, Mr. Bennett only needs 1? That'll save you a fortune. April didn't know how to respond, as Winnie's way of thinking was way too weird. She seemed to be strangely interested in condoms. If April hadn't been living with her, she would think that Winnie was selling condoms for a living. Winnie sent another message. "That's of course a good thing. Aaron is rich and is nice to you, and he's so energetic. You're so lucky." April was puzzled when reading the message. She couldn't help but ask, "Do you like men with great sexual endurance? Do you like men who can disable you from getting out of bed every day?" April honestly couldn't imagine that Winnie had a wild heart hiding under her innocent face. Winnie. "Are you saying that Aaron did it with you every day and disabled you from getting out of bed?" April was embarrassed. She didn't want to talk about it, but she was very curious about Winnie's preference. Winnie. "I don't know. I haven't tried it yet. But I guess, first of all, it has to be comfortable. If he made me comfortable, it could be acceptable. Comfortable. April's face was burning. Thankfully, they were only messaging via WhatsApp. She was surprised by Winnie again, maybe because they had hardly talked about this stuff before. Haven't you? Asked April. Winnie replied, I wanted to, but I'm unable to see my boyfriend all year round. Who am I supposed to do it with? Anyway, what happened to you is a good thing, so stop overthinking. You have to know that many women nowadays have an unhappy sex life. April fell into silence. Even Winnie said so. Maybe I should stop complaining about Aaron, she thought. Who are you texting? Why don't you want me to look? Aaron, who sat beside her, had been observing her expression the whole time. April put her phone away and said, It's Winnie. We're talking about our little secrets. You have secrets with her? Aaron unhappily held April's hand and said, You don't even have secrets with me. I'm yours. So do we need secrets? April said helplessly. Aaron paused slightly, then agreed with her and then let the discontent go. After arriving at the hotel, they had lunch in the hotel restaurant. Then the tired April went straight to bed. Aaron laid beside her to rest. Abruptly, her phone buzzed on the nightstand as a WhatsApp message was sent to her. At a glance, Aaron saw WhatsApp showing Ryan on the screen. Aaron took her phone without thinking, then opened her WhatsApp and saw Peter's message. April, don't forget my Uggs. I'm waiting for them as I'm going to Harbin to shoot a film next year. Shoot a film. He fixed his eyes on the screen and his face suddenly darkened. She actually wants to give Uggs to another man as a gift? She has only given me a scarf. That's so unfair, not to mention the fact that I'm her boyfriend. How can she do that? He thought. He almost tried to wake her up and ask her why, but before doing that, he had a second thought and decided not to say anything. He wanted to see if she would really secretly buy Uggs for Ryan. He angrily deleted the message, then deleted Ryan from April's WhatsApp contact list. After that, he put down the phone and felt wide awake. At 3 o'clock, April woke up to see the expressionless man beside her. What's wrong? Didn't you take a nap? She asked. Aaron gave her a glance but didn't say anything. April paid no attention to his attitude. She got up from the bed and said to him while tying up her hair, Let's go to the shopping mall. We need to get some presents for your mom and Sylvia. We rarely leave home after all. Except for them, who else do you want to buy presents for? Aaron got off the bed and stared straight into her eyes. He didn't want to miss any expression on her face. April blinked and thought of Ryan's present. With a slightly guilty feeling, she said, Winnie, Emily, and Derek? Winnie also asked me to bring her boyfriend a gift. Winnie and her boyfriend can't see each other even once a year. Why does she want you to bring him a gift? Aaron asked coldly. April rubbed her nose and said, Many couples see each other at the end of the year. So will Winnie and her boyfriend. You're not familiar with them, so how can you know about them so well? Aaron spent a short while staring at her silently, then asked, What do you plan to get him? It had better not be Uggs, he thought. April walked toward the bathroom while speaking. I'll see. If I see anything suitable for him, I'll just buy it. They took the hotel shuttle to a large shopping mall in Melbourne. Famous brands from all over the world could be found there. April decided to buy Sylvia a nightgown for her wedding night as she was going to get married soon. April walked into a store for women's sleepwear and saw all sorts of styles that made her face blush and heart race. She thought that Aaron would pick a few dresses for her, and she was nervous for that reason. But to her surprise, he unprecedentedly remained silent the whole time and only watched her selecting the dresses. She picked a dress for Sylvia, paid for it, and then started looking for a gift for Caitlin. She didn't know Caitlin well, so with no other choice, she asked Aaron, Do you know what your mom likes? How am I supposed to know? Aaron responded in an unfriendly tone. April was speechless. Is she your mom or mine? She thought. As Aaron refused to give her any tips, April decided to pick the gift by herself. After spending a while at the mall, she found a brand which had nice scarves. She remembered that Caitlin was wearing a scarf when she saw her last year. How about this scarf for your mom? She asked. You gave me a scarf as a gift and now you're getting my mom one? What do you think I am? Aaron said with strong discontent. April was puzzled, feeling that Aaron was getting more and more weird-tempered. Can't I give other people scarves as presents after giving you one? That person we're talking about is your mother. Didn't you give me a scarf because you want me to tie together with you for our whole lives? Or is giving people scarves one of your hobbies? Aaron felt annoyed. Shouldn't you be treating me specially? Episode 225. I can buy gifts for whomever I want. What can you do about it? April felt that Aaron was being unreasonable again. Are you saying that I can't give other people scarves as gifts because I've given you one? Not even your mother? She asked. That is right, Aaron nodded and replied. And you can't give gifts to other men, except your father. Since he had made it so clear, April understood that she would be dead if she dared to buy that pair of Uggs later. All right, so tell me, what gift should I buy for your mother? April took a deep breath to calm herself down and then continued, Don't say that you have no idea. Your mom was wearing a scarf last year when I was with her. That's why I wanted to buy her a scarf. I'm trying to please your mother and I want to give her a satisfying gift. Can you show me some respect? I'm doing this because I want to become part of your family. Aaron paused slightly, knowing why she bought the scarf. He blamed himself for having silly thoughts and feeling agitated when thinking about Ryan's message. I'm sorry. I thought giving people scarves as gifts was one of your hobbies. I wanted you to treat me differently. You know how much I've been cherishing that scarf you gave me. April's heart softened a little. She, of all the people, knew best how precious that scarf was to him. All right. You don't like me giving scarves to other people, so I won't buy it. Let's go and find something else. No. You said it's good, so it's good. We'll take it. Aaron took off the scarf that April liked and directly paid for it. Take a look around. Is there anything that you want for yourself? I think you'd look nice with this silk scarf. I'll buy it for you as a gift. All right. April nodded, feeling delighted as Aaron actually tried to make it up to her. After paying for the scarves, the two of them continued shopping to buy gifts for Emily, Winnie, and the others. Recalling that she had promised Ryan she would buy him a pair of Uggs as a gift, April had an idea when passing by an Ugg shop. She stopped walking and said, Maybe we should buy each of them a pair of Uggs. Aaron stopped as well, gazing into her eyes as he responded, Why Uggs? Because it's going to be near winter in Rosewood City. Uggs can keep them warm. April started dragging him into the store, saying, And look, all these great designs. I don't agree. Uggs will take up too much space. It'll be inconvenient for us to bring them back. Aaron refused to move. I think it'll be all right. We have so many suitcases. April tried to persuade him. I think perfumes or lipstick are better choices. We can get Emily some skincare products. As for Derek, he's a man, so we can get him a belt, said Aaron in a deep voice. He was offering her a last chance. If she dared to mention Uggs again, he would lose his temper. All right, then. As he refused so strongly, April didn't insist in order to avoid his suspicion. But I want to buy a pair for Winnie's boyfriend, she then said. After all, we don't come here often. I want my gifts to be special. As she said that, Aaron fell into silence. His handsome face turned icy cold, making April feel chilly. Winnie's boyfriend is just an excuse. You want to buy them for Ryan, don't you? Aaron directly exposed her lie. You really racked your brains in buying him a pair of Uggs. April was puzzled slightly as she couldn't figure out how he had found out. However, she understood that she couldn't admit it right away now because if she did, he would explode with jealousy. I don't know what you're talking about, she said. I said I want to buy them for Winnie's boyfriend. Why did you suddenly mention Ryan? You're still lying to me. Aaron's chest heaved quickly. Ryan sent you a message when you were taking a nap. I saw it. You sneakily checked my WhatsApp messages? April frowned, feeling a little unhappy as well. What do you mean by sneakily? You're my woman, so I have good reason to check your WhatsApp messages, said Aaron coldly. You should let me do it unless there's something in your WhatsApp that you can't let me know. Even married couples have the right of privacy, okay? I never checked your phone. April was angry. I'll let you check my phone anytime you want to. I've never chatted with any other woman except for work, said Aaron adamantly. Not to mention buying shoes for other women. I've given you chances and I've warned you not to give gifts to other men. However, you still tried to do it. April closed her eyes to calm herself down and then said, Ryan asked me for a gift. I agreed to buy him a gift because he and his mother helped me during Christmas. I see him as a friend and he sees me as that too. Nothing inappropriate is ever going on between us. That's why I agreed to buy him a gift. If nothing appropriate is going on, why did you keep it a secret from me then? I've been waiting for you to tell the truth, but you didn't. You were guilty. Aaron stared at her with sharp eyes. Am I such a half-hearted woman in your mind? April felt hurt and was enraged. Would you let me buy him shoes if I told you the truth? Of course not. Have you forgotten what I said earlier? Except for your dad, you're not allowed to buy gifts for any other man, especially shoes. Shoes will not only keep feet warm, but also hearts. Do you know how many acupuncture points people have on their feet? Those acupuncture points are dominating human bodies, circulating the blood and strength, connecting internal organs. Some people catch a cold easily because the coldness has been entering their bodies from the bottoms of their feet. That's why we should keep our feet warm. Feet are the second heart of a human being. Buying someone shoes means you care about that person and you don't want him to catch cold. You see, you care about him so much. This is very meaningful, Aaron complained. April was angry at first, but then she was utterly confused by all the feet, acupuncture points, coldness, and internal organs. How could a pair of shoes be related with so many weird terms? What was wrong with him? He wasn't studying medicine. You see, April felt especially helpless as she continued, this is why I didn't tell you about it. I didn't want you to misunderstand. You've been overthinking. I'm telling the truth. You are having an inappropriate relationship with Ryan, Aaron said through clenched teeth. April didn't argue with him, but took out her phone to check Ryan's message as she wanted to know what he said that made Aaron have such a huge misunderstanding. However, she accessed her WhatsApp and saw no message from Ryan. She couldn't even find Ryan in her contact list. April raised her phone and asked, You deleted him? The look in her eyes suddenly intensified, as if a storm was coming. Aaron felt a little unconfident for some reason, but still he nodded and responded, Yes, I deleted him. April instantly burned up. She was furious. Actually, she had never been so angry. You're such a bossy and unreasonable man. You didn't only delete the message, but also deleted him from my contact list? This is my phone and he's my friend. What made you think you could do that? Because I'm your boyfriend, your fiancé, and I'm about to become your husband. Aaron was angry as well because April described him with such awful words. You actually said that about me because of Ryan. In your heart, is he more important than I am? Is this because he helped you at Christmas while I didn't show up? In fact, that has been a heart knot of yours, hasn't it? That's not my problem. It's you who can't forget it. As Aaron had deleted her WhatsApp friend without letting her know and showed no regret at all, April was finally enraged. You are my boyfriend, but so what? Can't I have friends anymore? You don't want me to buy him shoes, but I'm going to do it. I'll buy gifts for whomever I want. What can you do about it? Kill me if you can. Lock me up and never let me shop again if you can. Keep me away from all the shopping malls for the rest of my life if you can. She growled at Aaron as she had gotten very emotional. It was the first time she had gotten so angry and talked so much and so loudly in front of him. Hearing her words, Aaron paused and even forgot to talk. After shouting at him, April walked directly into the shop without Aaron and picked up a pair of gray cuffed Uggs. But then she realized that she didn't know Ryan's size. She found Ryan's number and called him. I'm buying you shoes. Tell me your size. Aaron walked over at that moment. Hearing her words, he felt that his heart was bleeding. He even wanted to burn the entire shop. April was actually buying shoes for another man right in front of him and was calling to ask that man about his size. What was he to her then? Was he nothing? Was he a decoration? He stood in front of her, glaring at her with anger. April ignored him but kept chatting with Ryan. You just called me to ask that? Aren't you afraid that Aaron might explode with jealousy? Might be a fight, said Ryan. You're my friend and my godmother's son. You're like my brother. Can I even buy you a pair of shoes? April said that right in front of Aaron, then ended the call and asked the salesman for size 11. April, I'll give you one last chance. You're not allowed to buy them, said Aaron in a deep voice. April then turned to the salesman and said, Can I have every color of this style, size 11, please? I'll give them to someone else's gifts. The salesman trembled as he looked at Aaron's angry face. Go. April urged the salesman while preparing to pay. She first took out Aaron's wallet, then glanced at it and put it back into Aaron's hand. Take your wallet, she said. I don't want your money. Aaron was so angry that he felt like his head had even started smoking. He wanted to fight her, but this was a public place and she wasn't showing any sign of yielding at all. April, don't go too far, he said. I am going too far. What can you do? You going to eat me? April looked up and said, I'm not using your money, so why are you still talking? Are you going to keep talking? If you are, we'll shop separately. He didn't respond. Get out of my way. I'm going to buy shoes for myself as well. April bumped hard against him. The tall and strong Aaron was forced to take a few steps backward, then looked at her in shock. She actually cared so little about him and had bumped him. April, you're too arrogant, he accused her. What's so wrong with that? Humble people get bullied these days. April looked at him and said, Why are you looking at me? I'm talking about you. Don't talk to me and don't show up in my sight. Even seeing you makes me angry. Aaron paused again. You bought shoes for another man and now you're acting as if you did the right thing? And you're yelling at me? Yep, I'm yelling at you. I'll kill you by yelling. April snorted coldly, then started picking shoes for herself and trying them on. No matter how fiercely Aaron glared at her, she ignored him and treated him like something non-existent. Episode 226. She doesn't think that she did anything wrong, and she made me sleep alone. Aaron felt very angry and sad. How could such a woman even exist in this world? She had done something wrong to him. She had bought so many shoes for Ryan and not a pair for him, but in the end, she got mad at him. Had he been spoiling her? What should he do now? Should he directly carry her away? He couldn't do that as people were watching. Should he leave without her? They were in Australia, a strange country, strange city. What if she got kidnapped? He failed to come up with a better idea, so he followed behind her while pulling a long face. April didn't even look at him. She picked the shoes, paid for them, and left. She was carrying 5 pairs of shoes, and 4 of them were for Ryan. Aaron was really mad. He even wanted to throw those shoes away. Next, April strolled about the mall as if Aaron didn't exist. She went to the watch stores and women's wear sections. She only bought a few things, probably because of the expensive prices. Aaron watched her coldly as long as she stopped fighting him and apologized to him. He would buy her anything she liked. Silly girl. We had a fight, but you didn't need to give my wallet back to me. Now you don't have much money, do you? You deserve this, he thought. April couldn't afford anything expensive, so she spent her money on food. She bought a small slice of cake at first and then tried some other dessert. She enjoyed the food. Aaron got angry again as she hadn't even thought about buying a cake for him. He didn't like dessert, but he was standing right behind her. At 5:30, April walked into a Korean restaurant, found a seat, and sat down. Why are we eating in a place like this? The environment is awful and it's poorly ventilated. Aaron glared at her and said, Didn't we book a table at a better restaurant? April ignored him, took the menu from the waiter's hands, and began ordering food. After ordering her food, she handed the menu back to the waiter and said, That'll be all. The waiter looked at Aaron, hesitated, and said, Aren't you two together? Aaron was beyond tolerant. He kicked away the chair, stood up, and said, April, my patience is limited. I've been tolerating you because we are traveling abroad now. Don't think that I have to. After saying that, he walked away with big steps. April dropped her eyelids. The waiter felt extremely awkward. Should I place your order? He asked. Yes, serve the food as quickly as you can. I'm hungry. April responded with a faint smile. As the waiter left, she hurriedly picked up the glass of water on the table and took a few large gulps so her tears wouldn't gush out. She really didn't want to fight with him abroad. What she didn't want even more was to fight with him during vacation. After all, that was supposed to be their best time together. However, she couldn't endure the fact that he had deleted a friend from her WhatsApp contact list. If she made a concession, he would do worse in the future. The waiter soon served her a fried rice cake. She lowered her head and prepared to eat, but suddenly a shadow enveloped her. She raised her head to find Aaron standing beside her with dark eyes that looked a little sad, as if he were hurt. April paused for a second and almost got soft-hearted. But still, she hardened her heart and said, Are you now willing to admit that you deleting my WhatsApp friend was disrespect to me? I admit that I shouldn't have done it, said Aaron. But you yelled at me, pushed me, bumped me, and ignored me because of Ryan. You were using violence on me. What violence? I only bumped you once. Cold violence. April didn't know what to say. You've bought 4 pairs of shoes for Ryan, but you never bought a pair for me. Aaron suddenly felt extremely upset. April, I won't forgive you easily. Never. April was speechless. Aaron hadn't even figured out what was going on yet. Now it was her turn to be mad at him. After he finished talking, he sat in front of her, dragged over her plate, and started eating the rice cake. I ordered that, said April. I know. Didn't you hear what I just said? I won't forgive you, so I'm going to eat all the food you like. Don't you like eating the most? I want you to be punished." Aaron put the rice cake into his mouth while speaking. He couldn't hit her or curse at her, and yelling at her was useless, so he had no other choice but to punish her in this way. April was stunned. Looking at him, she felt that the word childish was written on his face. However, she did feel quite unhappy seeing him eating all the rice cakes that she liked. Then a plate of cheese-fried rice was served, followed by fried chicken. Aaron ate it all and only left a vegetable salad for April. After finishing all the food, he wiped his mouth, glanced at her proudly, and said, "That tasted awful." April honestly wanted to smack his face with a plate. She picked up her bags angrily and left the restaurant. Aaron quickly followed behind her. On the way, she bought a burger and he seized it. April waited until he finished that burger, then bought another one. He took away the second burger and ate that too, but when April bought a third one, they were all oversized burgers. At last, Aaron even wanted to throw up when looking at the newest burger. "Do you want to continue? Here, I'll just give it to you. Eat. Go ahead and eat." April put the burger to his mouth. Aaron never liked the strong smells of Western food. He had already had too much at first, and after that, he had been forcing himself to eat more. Smelling the burger April put to his mouth, he turned around, found a trash can, and began vomiting. Looking at him, April didn't know what to say. As the owner of a public company, he always did childish things. "If you don't want me to eat, you could just take them and throw them away. Why did you eat them all by yourself?" she asked. Aaron finished vomiting, wiped his mouth, and responded, "You think I haven't thought about that? You see food as being as important as your life. If I threw it away, I was afraid that you'd fight me with your life." His handsome face was pale. April opened her mouth as she wanted to say something to disagree. However, she then thought carefully and felt that she might have really started a physical fight with him if he had thrown all the food away. She could tolerate anything except the waste of food. 2 years ago, she was so poor that she even needed to count grains of rice for every meal. She could never let him waste food like that. "I'm glad that you know," she thought for a moment, took a bite of the burger, then proudly walked forward. Aaron's stomach twitched slightly, which made him want to throw up again. So it turned out that she really would fight him over food. What kind of woman was she? Back at the hotel, the two of them refused to talk to each other. After taking a shower, April laid down on the edge of the bed with her back to Aaron. Seeing that, Aaron got on the bed and laid down with a frown. It was the first time they had had an argument and not slept in each other's arms since they had begun having sex. He was so not used to this. Also, the aroma from her aroused him and made him want to have sex very badly. While falling asleep, April suddenly felt a hand reaching toward her chest. She quivered and woke up, grabbed Aaron's hand and said coldly, "What are you doing? Are we having a fight? Who allowed you to touch me? Who says that couples can't have sex while they're fighting?" Aaron's arm paused for a second, and then he threw a question back and made himself sound very reasonable. April had met quite some shameless people, but none of them was as shameless as he was. He had yelled at her earlier, and now he wanted to have sex with her? In your dreams, she thought. All women in the world say that. April picked up a pillow and a quilt and walked out of the bedroom. "Where are you going?" Aaron sat up and got off the bed. "I'll sleep on the couch." April laid on the couch and curled up. Aaron glanced at the private part of his body which had been making him uncomfortable, then said grumpily, "April, if you keep doing this, I won't satisfy you with my little brother again." Like I want it, April thought. She did sense pleasure during sex, but every time she felt half dead afterward. She rolled her eyes, then turned around to face him with the back of her head. Aaron angrily walked back into the bedroom. There was no quilt left on the bed, so he took out a spare one from the closet. However, he was too lonely to fall asleep. Couldn't sleep alone, and his private part also needed some comfort. Looking at those Uggs in the corner, he truly wanted to throw them all away. However, he was too polite to do that. He felt so irritated. Sitting up on the bed, he sent Richard a message via WhatsApp. "Come online, chat with me." He waited for half a minute, but Richard didn't reply, so he directly gave him a voice call. The call was answered. "What do you want? It's midnight over here. I want to sleep," said Richard. "April betrayed me," said Aaron coldly. "What? What?" Richard was wide awake in shock. "You guys were doing just fine yesterday. You posted pictures on WhatsApp Moment every day." "She lied to me. She wants to give Uggs to Ryan as a gift, but lied to me that those Uggs were for Winnie's boyfriend." So that's what it's about, thought Richard. She doesn't think that she did anything wrong. And she's making me sleep alone, Aaron continued. What should I do? She never gave me shoes as a gift. Richard coughed slightly, then said, Those are nothing but pairs of shoes. Ryan helped her at Christmas, so it's reasonable for her to give him a gift. Don't overthink it. How can I not overthink? Giving someone shoes as a gift means that she wants to walk together with that person. The more Aaron talked about that, the more uncomfortable he felt. Ugh, you're wrong about that, Richard hurriedly responded. Actually, giving people shoes as gifts doesn't have good meanings. Giving someone shoes means you want to see that person off. Means parted. It can also mean that the gift giver wants the one who received the gift to put on those shoes and go as far away as possible. The word shoes is a homophone of evil. That's quite an ominous meaning, too. That's why people say that couples shouldn't give each other shoes as gifts, especially sports shoes. Don't doubt this. Earlier, I heard from Max that he bought one of his ex-girlfriends a pair of sports shoes, and that girl left him in less than 3 days. Max is a playboy indeed, but he's good-looking and rich. That girl was the only one who unexpectedly left him. Aaron was stunned. He didn't know all that. It seems that I have misunderstood April. I think Ryan likes her, but she's all about me. However, he asked her for a gift and she couldn't refuse because he had helped her. So that's why she agreed to buy him shoes. Well, my woman is pretty imperfect, so it's reasonable for her to have suitors. I get it. I have something that needs to be done. Goodbye, he said to Richard. Boy, can you at least let me finish? Silently, Aaron woke him up in the middle of the night, then ended the call after such a quick talk. He had awful friends, but none of them was as awful as Aaron. Back in the hotel, Aaron got off of the bed after ending the call, then dressed and left the suite. April was in a light sleep and was awakened by the sound of the door opening. She got up and walked to the living room, then found that Aaron had left. Where had he gone so late at night? Had he left her alone in the hotel only because she didn't satisfy his sexual desire? Lying on the couch, April somehow started having a grievance in her heart and couldn't help but begin imagining things. No wonder people said that a man would stop cherishing a woman once she gave him her virginity. Was he a man like that? With all these thoughts, she fell asleep. She woke up the next day to find that she wasn't lying on the couch, but on the bed. Yesterday, she had spent half the day shopping, so at night, she had slept so soundly that she didn't remember being carried into the bedroom. She walked out and saw Aaron sleeping on the couch. Because he was so tall, his legs were hanging in the air, and most of his blanket had fallen to the ground. The look in April's eyes softened when she saw him. She was angry because he had gone out last night, but was delighted because he had carried her to bed. She quietly walked over, picked up the blanket, and gently covered him with it. Once she had done that, Aaron was awake. He sat up and gazed at her with drowsy eyes while saying, "You do love me." April didn't understand. When had she said that she didn't love him? Aaron pulled her into his arms and then said in a soft voice, "April, you love me. Ryan isn't even as good as a hair of mine in your heart, right?" April raised her head to look at him, waiting to see what trick he was going to play this time. She could never guess what he was thinking anyway. "April, I've thought about it. Yesterday I was wrong," said Aaron. "Ryan helped you. Since he asked you to buy him a pair of shoes as a gift, it's really quite inappropriate for you to say no. Also, it's reasonable for you to buy him a pair of shoes to thank him for saving you from the trouble." April was visibly shocked. Aaron had always been unreasonable and extremely stubborn, but how had he suddenly thought it through overnight? It was unbelievable. "I'm glad you think of it that way." April nodded with a weird look. "But," Aaron continued, "I'm not comfortable with you giving him Uggs as gifts. I talked a lot to you about Uggs yesterday, and that really means something to me. I think it's more appropriate for you to give him a pair of sneakers." While speaking, he stood up and picked up a box that was placed beside the couch. He continued, "Last night I went to a 24-hour shopping mall and bought a pair of sneakers. These are the newest arrivals, limited edition. They are incredibly comfortable and fashionable. I think this pair of shoes will make a better gift to him. After all, Ryan is a star and his family is wealthy. You can find Uggs anywhere. But this kind of limited edition sneaker is hard to get. I believe every boy in his early 20s likes this kind of sneaker." He also believed that with this pair of sneakers, Ryan would leave April even faster. April was agape. "Why aren't you saying anything?" Aaron frowned. "It's nothing." April shook her head. "I just feel that you're like a salesman in a shoe store." After Winnie, who was like a condom saleswoman, April now had a shoe salesman around her. Aaron was a little speechless. April took the box and opened it. The pair of shoes was indeed very stylish, looking very suitable for Ryan. She just couldn't understand why Aaron was suddenly being so nice to Ryan. How much did you pay for this pair of shoes? Not much. 40,000. April touched her chest as she felt an ache in her heart. What's wrong? Are you feeling uncomfortable? Aaron asked with concern. My heart is aching. April couldn't help but raise her head and bite his neck. She didn't bite him hard, but still left teeth marks on his skin. It's just a gift. Who told you to spend so much money on it? You're so stingy, Aaron complained, but also gave a big smile. He thought she had a deep affection for Ryan, but it turned out that she wasn't even willing to spend $40,000 on him. If he had known this, he wouldn't have argued with her yesterday. You say that because you've never been poor. Do you know for ordinary people how huge a present that is worth $40,000 can be? April sighed. Even though you're rich, you shouldn't spend money like that. You gave back my wallet to me, Aaron snorted. April reached out a hand toward him and said, Give me your wallet. I'll be keeping it until we're back. We haven't gotten married yet, but you're already trying to control me. While speaking, Aaron obediently handed his wallet to April. Will you give him those Uggs? April held the pair of sports shoes and said, I'd rather give him the Uggs. You wear these sports shoes. They're so expensive. I don't want to give him those. Aaron frowned. How could he possibly wear those sports shoes? What if he ran away in those shoes? What a silly woman. As I said, you can't give him Uggs. I've already made a step backward, Aaron said with a frown. April, think about how Ryan and his family took care of you. You can't be so stingy. April bit her lip and nodded. Sports shoes were shoes as well, so she guessed that Ryan would accept them. However, why was the situation a little weird? In the end, it was Aaron who persuaded her. But next time, you can't delete my WhatsApp friends, she said. Sure. Aaron lifted her to his chest and said, But you didn't have sex with me last night. You need to make it up to me this morning. April was puzzled for a second, then realized what was happening. She kicked and struggled as hard as she could while saying, No, I won't be able to shop if we have sex this morning. Plus, we still need to head back home. Aaron hesitated for a moment and said, You owe me one then. You have to do it twice with me when we get back. April almost fainted. Doing it one time could make her half dead, so if she did it twice in a row, she might really die. You can't do that. That is really not good. So let's do it now. I haven't tried doing it with you in the morning yet. Aaron carried her to the bedroom. All right, we'll do it twice tomorrow. April blushed and hurriedly begged for mercy. That's more like it. Aaron lowered his head and kissed her red cheek. April put her arms around his neck, thought for a moment, and said, You don't want me to give Uggs to Ryan, but what should I do with the 4 pairs that I've already bought? I'll wear them. Aaron gave his answer without thinking. Those might be a little small for your feet. I'll just squeeze my feet into them. April chuckled and said, Silly. In fact, I only bought 1 pair for Ryan yesterday. The other 3 pairs are all for you. Aaron paused for a few seconds, then gave a big grin with glowing eyes. How come I didn't know anything about that? April snorted and responded, I secretly asked the shop assistant to switch them. April, you're so nice. Aaron kissed her deeply and even wanted to eat her. April pulled his hair and complained, You're hurting me with your kiss. I want to kiss you for my whole life. Aaron passionately intruded into her mouth. In the afternoon, April and Aaron arrived in Rosewood City by plane. That night, when Caitlin and Sylvia came to visit, April gave them presents. After receiving her present, Caitlin couldn't stop praising April for how thoughtful and tasteful the present was. When it was Sylvia's turn to unwrap her present, she opened the box to find a red nightdress with shoulder straps. She reddened and said, April, you're such a bad girl. April walked over, glanced at the dress, then frowned and asked April, When did you buy it? Why didn't I know? I asked for your opinion. April didn't know what else to say. You did? Aaron regretted paying no attention to that. At the time, all he could think about was Ryan's message. If he had noticed that she was buying that for Sylvia, he would have asked her to buy a few dresses like that for herself. Sylvia looked at her brother's feet and asked, Brother, why are you wearing Uggs at home? Is Rosewood City really so cold? April bought me these. She bought me 4 pairs of these. I just have to wear them. Aaron glanced at April affectionately while answering the question. April felt a little ashamed, but she was already used to how shameless Aaron was. She had only bought him 3 pairs, but he forcibly occupied the 4th pair. Sylvia was stunned and said, "April, was it necessary to buy so many Uggs?" April gave an embarrassed smile, then quickly changed the topic and began talking about Jeremy's injuries. "He was discharged from the hospital several days ago. Recently, we've been busy decorating the new apartment. Father, you should come visit them and have dinner at their home tomorrow. You guys went on vacation not long after Jeremy got back. You should get together. It's like your brothers. Besides, his parents want to thank you and Richard for going to the border," said Sylvia. "Sure." Aaron nodded and responded, "I also have a gift for Jeremy." "Also, bring April," said Sylvia. April hesitated for a moment and then said, embarrassed, "Your father won't be there, will he?" Sylvia was puzzled at first and then replied, "I don't think he will. It won't be a big deal even if he is there. Why, are you afraid of him?" Caitlin smiled coldly and said, "If he doesn't want you two to be together, tell him to come and talk to me. I'll slap his face and ask him what makes him think that he can teach his son about marriage." Ugh. Looking at Caitlin, who was hardly as fierce as she was being right now, April didn't know what to say. However, as the new year was coming, and she had accepted Aaron's proposal, she would need to meet David sooner or later. Also, after what happened to her at Christmas, she had no fear now. "You don't need to take him seriously." Aaron gently patted the back of her hand. April sighed. How can I possibly not take him seriously? He's your father, after all, she thought. After dinner, Caitlin and Sylvia left together. April hadn't rested well on the plane yesterday, so she took a shower and went to bed early. Seeing that, Aaron's eyes shined. He quickly took off his shoes, got onto the bed to kiss her, and then said, "April, did you come to bed so early to wait for me because you know that you still owe me twice?" "I'm really tired. Can we do it tomorrow?" April wasn't very happy as Aaron dragged up and unbuttoned her pajamas. Aaron raised his eyebrows and said, "So are you going to owe me 3 times tomorrow?" April didn't know how to respond to that. Aaron chuckled, then smoothly took off her clothes. April knew that she had no way to change his mind, so she just let him do whatever he wanted. A while later, Aaron did not feel quite satisfied, as she hadn't responded to him passionately. "Why didn't you kiss me back?" he asked. "I told you that I'm exhausted," April pouted. Aaron was already mad with lust. Seeing her pouting lips, he had even more difficulty controlling himself. Episode 228. Stay calm, don't be jealous. April moaned in pain. The room temperature started rising. When April woke up, Aaron wasn't there. He must have been at work at that time. She picked up her phone to look at the time and found that it was already 10 o'clock. She raised her legs and felt as if she were disabled. She struggled up and gave herself a hot bath while silently cursing Aaron 1,000 times. Fortunately, she was pursuing voice acting, which meant that she would need to travel a lot for work. She guessed that if she always stayed in Rosewood City, he would exhaust her in bed every single day. It was already around noon by the time she finally gathered some strength to go downstairs. Emily looked at her weirdly and said, "April, I've never seen you get up so late. Young Master is quite intuitive. He told me not to wake you up." April's face reddened slightly. She was already starving. "Emily, do you have anything to eat?" she asked. "The food's been ready for a long time." Emily served her a large bowl of squab soup with red dates and many other nourishing ingredients. April was puzzled and asked, "Why did you give me such a nourishing soup?" Emily chuckled and said, "Young Master said that you need to nourish your blood." "Nourish my blood?" April didn't understand. "Yes, women do need to nourish their blood after their first time." Emily gave a very meaningful smile. April even wanted to hide under the table. "What a big-mouthed man," she complained silently. "Don't be shy. Your mother left when you were little, so you don't know about these things. You have to nourish your body." Emily grinned. "And don't forget about birth control, so you won't hurt yourself. Even though Young Master is a responsible man, I don't support premarital pregnancy." April nodded, feeling warmed. In a meeting room in Splingo, the senior managers on the scene were all stunned a little when Aaron walked in. The winter in Rosewood City was never too cold, especially now. It was about 10 degrees Celsius, but their CEO was wearing a scarf. Some said that it was a gift from his girlfriend. The scarf didn't surprise them because they had seen him wearing it quite often. Instead, what made them speechless was the pair of Uggs on his feet. "Mr. Bennett, you dressed warmly today," said the general manager. Aaron responded with 2 words. "I'm cold." The general manager thought for a moment, then sneakily told another guy to set the temperature of the air conditioner higher. The room was heated to 28 degrees Celsius. During the 1.5-hour meeting, Aaron sweat heavily. In the middle of the meeting, he couldn't help but take off the scarf. However, he felt as if his feet were burning. When the meeting was finally over, Richard walked up, patted him on the shoulder, and said, "Oi, do you have to wear these? I've never seen a man in Uggs in this city except during the ice disaster that happened 4 years ago. You're the first one." "April bought me 4 pairs of these and made me wear them," Aaron responded blandly. "Really?" Richard curved his lips downward. "Are you sure that April made you wear these?" "Of course. Would I ever want to dress so warmly?" Aaron gave him a cold glance. "Is there something that you wouldn't do?" Richard laughed to himself. "Then I need to talk to April. You'll feel too hot this way. I'm going to the Rodriguez family's home for dinner tonight as well. You can give me a ride and I'll teach her a lesson for you," said Richard. Aaron didn't reply. At 2:00 in the afternoon, April received a message from CEO Bennett after she woke up from a nap. "I'll come pick you up this afternoon. If Richard asks about the Uggs and scarf, you need to tell him that you wanted me to wear them." April looked outside and found that it was a sunny day. So in this kind of weather, he went to work wearing Uggs and a scarf. What public company owner goes to work wearing Uggs? What a psycho, thought April. She guessed that he must have shown off in front of Richard, and now that he needed to solve the problem he had created for himself, April was speechless. She didn't reply to his message. At 3:00, Aaron called her and asked, "Have you seen my WhatsApp message? Why didn't you reply?" "Why would I lie for you?" April laughed. "You always like to make up things that never happened. Since you've already told him so, you shouldn't be worrying that he might discover your lie." Aaron stayed silent for a while and then said, "That's because since I founded the company, I did not have a girlfriend until I met you. People always show off their girlfriends in front of me. Now I finally have a girlfriend, so I will surely make them jealous." That sounds quite pitiful, thought April. "All right, I'll help you once," she said. "But next time, you really can't make me responsible for it all." After ending the call, April began thinking that maybe she should give Aaron a little punishment. At 5:30, Aaron drove a Mercedes-Benz to pick April up after work. Richard was in the back seat. "April, isn't Benny wearing too much?" "April, isn't Benny wearing too much? He said that you made him wear it all," said Richard to April when he saw her. "Yeah, I bought him those. Of course he has to wear them." April looked at Aaron with a smile and said, "Husband, you're so nice to me. I'm really touched." She hardly ever called him husband. Hearing her soft voice, Aaron almost floated up into the sky. He asked her to cooperate, but didn't think that she would actually be so cooperative. After hearing her words, he so wanted to take her in his arms and kiss her. "Sure," he said. "I have to live up to your kindness." "I knew you would." April nodded and then took out a pair of thick woolen socks from her bag and said, "So you'll wear these woolen socks that I bought for you too, right?" Aaron couldn't think of a word to say. Seeing that, Richard laughed his head off. "Oh my, April is amazing," he thought. "Those Uggs have already made him feel so hot. He'll probably be cooked if he puts on those socks. Benny, April's so nice to you. Just put 'em on," Richard said while trying not to burst out laughing. "Are you going to wear them or not?" April threatened him with a smile. "If you refuse to wear them, I'll think you don't care enough about me." "I'll wear them since you want me to." Aaron clenched his teeth, took off his shoes, and put the socks on. Before, he had already felt like the bottoms of his feet were burning, and now he felt like he was standing on an erupting volcano. "Husband, I love you." April turned and kissed his cheek and then said, "After you told me so much about all those acupuncture points on the feet, I figured that I can't let your feet feel even the slightest coldness." "Thank you." Aaron was terribly displeased. His woman had learned to make fun of him. What a naughty girl. At this very moment, he loved and hated this naughty girl at the same time. He started the car and opened the window as he wanted some wind to blow in and cool him down. However, Richard shivered in the back seat and said, "I feel so cold. Please, close the window. I'm freezing." April looked at Aaron and said, "I feel cold too." Aaron didn't say anything. Cold my ass, he thought. It's nice and cool out there, not cold at all. Now that these two have teamed up to play tricks on me, I'll punish her hard in bed when we get back. The road that led to the Rodriguez family's home was the same one that led to the Bennett family's home, but the Rodriguez family home was nearer than the Bennett family's, about 10 miles from the city. Sylvia arrived early. She and Jeremy stood side by the gate to welcome the others. Seeing Aaron, they both made fun of the way he dressed. "Feeling better?" Aaron gave Jeremy a punch without mercy. Jeremy stayed as motionless as a statue and responded with a smile. Much better. Just got in. My mom prepared the food herself because she knew that you'd be here for dinner. Mrs. Jessica was in the kitchen helping with the food, while Mr. Raymond stayed in the living room. The male guests sat down together and began talking about Sylvia's wedding with Mr. Raymond. Sylvia said that she needed to go to the wedding dress store to pick out her wedding dress tomorrow and asked April to go with her. April, why don't you be my maid of honor? April paused briefly. Before she said anything, Aaron agreed. That's a good idea. April is going to look stunning in a gown. Raymond took a sip of the tea, then smiled. Miss April is definitely pretty. Even I, as an old man, can imagine how good she'll look in a gown. However, will a too pretty maid of honor make Sylvia less eye-catching at the wedding? Uncle Raymond, are you saying that I'm not as pretty as April? Sylvia pretended to be angry. Raymond laughed out loud and said, How can that be possible? Sylvia, you're beautiful too. Sylvia snorted and replied, Uncle, I'm not going to talk to you again. Jeremy also smiled and said, If the maid of honor is too pretty, she will certainly attract the attention of many male guests. There will definitely be many important guests who have fame and prestige at the wedding. Miss April's such a pretty girl, so I guess after the wedding you'll have many suitors. Then she won't be the maid of honor. Aaron immediately refused Sylvia's suggestion. He didn't want his girlfriend to have too many suitors. April smiled silently, only giving Jeremy a glance. Maybe she was too sensitive, but she felt that the term guests who have fame and prestige was especially meaningful. He actually means that there will be many important guests at the wedding, so if I were the maid of honor and those guests learned about my family background, people would talk, right? She thought. She understood. The Rodriguez family wasn't incredibly wealthy, but it was prestigious in the military world in Rosewood City. If people knew that the maid of honor at their wedding was the daughter of a molester, they might feel disgraced. Sylvia and Aaron didn't mind it, so they wouldn't think that much about it. But the Rodriguez family and the others might not feel the same way, just like how David couldn't accept her because of her family. That's such a shame. Sylvia felt regret. It's okay, I can still help you pick the wedding dress. April smiled at her and said, I assume you're planning to buy one, right? Of course we are. Mom was going to hire a designer from abroad to design one especially for me, but we don't have enough time for that. Once Sylvia said that, the sound of a car was heard from outside. Who's arriving? It's not my dad, is it? Asked Sylvia. Raymond shook his head and said, I didn't invite your dad. Jeremy pressed his lips together and then said, I invited Jenica. The living room fell into a weird silence for a moment as everyone else automatically turned their eyes to Aaron and April. Aaron frowned slightly. A short while later, he said in a bland tone, It's all right. We're all friends, and the new year is coming. We'd see each other sooner or later. After saying that, he held April's hand, put his mouth near her ear, and whispered to her, Stay calm. Don't be jealous. Jessica hurriedly said to her, You're a guest. You don't need to do this. Please, sit down. April felt awkward. Aaron was talking to Raymond. As a low EQ person, he didn't know how to deal with this kind of situation either. Fortunately, Sylvia hurriedly said, Jenica, you sit down as well. You're doing my job, making me the future daughter-in-law of this family look awful. After saying that, she quickly took away the bowls and chopsticks in Jenica's hands. You're the only conversation artist in this house. Jessica smiled and shook her head. Jenica raised her hands and laughed. All right, I won't do your job. Sylvia stuck her tongue out. After sitting there for another 4 or 5 minutes, April's phone started ringing. It was a call from Jennifer. The call was probably about work. April stood up and walked out to the backyard to answer the phone. April, have you had dinner yet? Just had it. April sat on the stone stage beside the pool and said, Is this about voice acting? Yes. Because of some schedule adjustment, I'm afraid you need to come to California to start the voice acting work for the new series by the 3rd day of this month. Jennifer laughed and said, Can you do that? It's okay. I don't have many important things to do anyway. You didn't need to call me yourself to tell me that. You could have let your assistant contact me. I heard from Mr. Richard that you've been to the beach, so I decided to ask you if you had fun or not, said Jennifer. It wasn't bad. April smiled. It seems that you and Mr. Richard are getting along well. Well, he's the major shareholder of my company, so I'm depending on him now, Jennifer replied. I can't be an actress my whole life. Besides, actresses will get fewer and fewer job opportunities after 30 if they don't strive to remain young-looking. It's a good thing for me to have a few investor friends so that my life won't be too hard when I'm no longer a star." Recalling what Richard said last time, April gave her a tentative suggestion. "You can think about other possibilities too, such as becoming a couple with him." "I heard that Mr. Richard is from a wealthy family. I think there'll be lots of trouble for girls who marry into wealthy families. I just want to make some money, then shut my door and live my little happy life," said Jennifer. Thinking about her own situation, April actually agreed with Jennifer. They chatted for 7 or 8 minutes and then ended the call. April didn't want to go back in, so she strolled around the pool and looked at the ducks in it. While walking by a window, she suddenly heard Jessica's voice. "Why are you in here?" "Give me a glass of that herb wine, the one we made last time," said Raymond. "Don't drink too much wine. You're old," said Jessica. Raymond laughed and said, "These kids don't visit us every day. This house hasn't been so lively in a long time." "That's true. Since Jeremy left home, they rarely come here. In the old days, our place was always noisy with all those kids around," Jessica sighed. "Jenica hasn't visited us in a long time, but today she's here too. Speaking of that kid, I really feel sorry for her. She's been working so hard out there all these years. She just wouldn't come back and doesn't want a boyfriend. Everybody knows that she still loves Aaron. Now, when she's finally come back, she heard that Aaron has a girlfriend. I'm really sad looking at the two of them tonight. If that thing hadn't happened, they would have made such a perfect couple." "Yeah, look at that April. She doesn't fit in. She didn't even say anything during dinner. I don't think she can handle any formal occasions. She's pretty indeed, but can people live on pretty faces?" said Raymond. "Not to mention her family. Earlier, they made a scene about her. When David talked to me about this, he said he's so angry that his heart even ached." "Speaking of David, I think he deserves what he got," said Jessica. "Those 2 kids were torn apart because of what he did. Back then, when people found out about his affair, the 2 kids were in such pain. If Caitlin hadn't threatened to kill herself, would those kids have broken up? These past few years, Jenica called me sometimes. She cried on the phone every time she mentioned that thing. She said that she didn't want to come back. Her mother isn't a decent person, and her father has been devastated by what happened. Those kids don't know about that, though." "You need to give Jenica a little more care. Her family's fallen apart, poor girl," Raymond sighed and said. "And there's another thing. If Sylvia wants April to be her bridesmaid, you must say no. But don't be too straightforward. Sylvia seems to have been brainwashed by April. After she and Jeremy get married, we need to make her spend less time with April." Her heart was just like that pond. It turned out that what Mary said was true. Aaron broke up with Jenica because Caitlin threatened to kill herself. She could imagine how hard that must have been. They loved each other and were getting engaged, but suddenly they had to break up. Jenica loved Aaron deeply, so she never had another boyfriend. What about Aaron? Did he stay single all those years because he still loved her? Also, as she had thought, the Rodriguez and Bennett family really disliked her. Even though she had guessed some of these things, it made her feel a different way when she heard them from other people. What Raymond and Jessica said was like cold, sharp needles to her. To make matters worse, both of them were elders that Aaron respected. She thought that she was already immune to these things, but it turned out that she was wrong. She cared about Aaron, so she cared about how those people thought of her. She didn't know how long she had been standing there when Aaron approached. "Since you finished your call, why don't you go inside? It's chilly out here." Aaron's voice came from behind her. She turned back. Before she could see his face clearly, he took off his scarf and draped it over her neck. She didn't say anything. "This is good. You won't catch a cold no matter how cold it is." Aaron looked at his work and nodded, satisfied. April raised her head, looked at his smiling face, and asked him, "Are you sure that you did not put this around my neck because it's too warm for you?" "Am I not allowed to play a trick on you while you are on me?" Aaron took off one of his shoes and said, "I'm still wearing cashmere socks." Normally, April would laugh, but now she just couldn't. "What's wrong? Are you jealous? Didn't I tell you not to be jealous?" Aaron put an arm around her waist and said, "I was afraid that you might be jealous, so I've been trying to avoid talking to Jenny." "Jenny?" It's quite an intimate way to address her. April curved her lips downward. "Even that can make you jealous." Aaron gave a big smile and said, "All right, I'll be calling her Jenica from this moment on. But you see, we're at someone else's place, so we should be jealous less obviously." "Never mind, let's go in. I feel it's impolite for me to keep standing out here." April sighed. She really shouldn't pull a long face in this place. All right, the dinner has ended. We'll just sit a little longer, then leave. Aaron smiled and put an arm around her shoulders as they headed back inside. As they walked in, the others all turned to look at them. Jenica even stared straight at them. It's still early. Shall we go for karaoke? We haven't done it for a long time. You go, I'll pass, said Aaron. I just came back from Australia yesterday and worked whole day today. I'm exhausted. April glanced at him with a weird look. He actually found an excuse. Usually he would say something like, You single people with nobody to warm your beds have no idea. She never liked that he always loved to brag about their relationship, but tonight, as he stopped bragging so much, she felt uncomfortable. You can get tired? That's a rare thing, said Jeremy. You haven't recovered completely from your injuries yet. Don't always go out and make sure to sleep early, said Aaron to Jeremy. Then he asked Richard, We're leaving. Are you going to leave with us? Richard had drunk more than anyone else. Even his tongue was shaking at that moment. He isn't done drinking with me yet. Jenica will drive him home later, said Raymond. Don't worry, I'll drive Richard back. I didn't have any wine. Jenica raised her eyes to look at Aaron. After leaving the Rodriguez and Bennett family, April felt that even the air outside made her feel free and comfortable. She didn't like the atmosphere in the family. However, if she married Aaron and Sylvia married Jeremy, she would certainly need to get together with the family people pretty often in the future. Don't drive too fast, Aaron reminded her. Today, April was driving. That huge off-road car made her feel like she was driving a tank. April heard him, but ignored him. We've already left. Are you still jealous? Aaron turned to ask her. They invited me to karaoke, but I refused. April hesitated for a while, then told him the truth. I feel that you're a little different today. Aaron was puzzled for a second and then said, Different how? I'm the same as usual. You didn't act naturally in front of Jenica, said April. You love to show off our relationship, but you didn't do it in front of her. Are you unhappy because I didn't show off our relationship? Aaron stared straight at her with a pair of dark eyes. Do you want me to flaunt our relationship in front of Jenica? April felt annoyed. She didn't understand it either. You weren't like this in front of Ryan and Isaac. I think you care about her feelings. Women always like to overthink things, and you really are sensitive. Aaron smiled. He glanced at April helplessly and said, But I won't mind, as you only think this way because you love me so much. April, I hope you understand that I did what I did, not because I still love her, but because it's the most basic respect to a woman who used to be my girlfriend. He paused for a second, then continued with a slight frown. What happened years ago wasn't Jenica's fault. She was a victim too, and her parents divorced. Now I have a new relationship. If I deliberately show off our relationship in front of her, it may seem like I'm proud because I found a better girl after we broke up. You're not a toy to be shown off, and she's not a bad woman. What I can do is keep a distance from her and try my best not to see her again. You said so much because you care about her feelings, am I not right? April thought. You didn't have these worries in front of Sylvia and Richard. Is this because you used to love each other deeply? Aaron shook his head and said, And in front of her, I didn't act like you and I aren't close. I clearly introduced you to her as my girlfriend. I didn't know that she'd be there tonight. If I'd known, I wouldn't have gone. Why? Didn't you just say that she's a victim too? Said April. Yes, that's why I'm fine with her hanging out with the others. After all, there isn't a problem between her and them. There is a problem between her and me. It's not only about what happened between our parents, but also because I'm with you now. It's not appropriate for me to be close to Jenica. And of course, I don't want you to be jealous. Aaron sniffed the air, then smiled and carried on. Have you smelled it? Since we left the Rodriguez family, my car has been filled with jealousy. Someone has exploded with jealousy. Exploded with jealousy. April was a little speechless, but she was also a little relieved. She told herself not to think about the conversation between Raymond and Jessica, or how much Aaron used to care about Jenica. She told herself to focus on the present. April thought for a moment and then said, Next time, if your family invites us again, you should go without me. Why? Aaron asked. You're not mad at Jeremy, are you? You have such a low EQ. Didn't you feel that your family doesn't like me at all? Thought April. However, she decided not to mention these things as Sylvia was getting married soon, and she didn't want anyone to be unhappy. No. He and Jenica are close friends after all. It's reasonable for him to invite her. Why would I be angry about that? I just felt a little uncomfortable in his place. Besides, I don't really have any shared topics with you guys. Aaron pressed his thin lips together. But Sylvia is going to marry Jeremy and become part of his family. We still need to get together at festivals and New Year's. I understand that. If I'm married to you, I'll certainly agree to hang out with them. But we aren't married yet, said April. Aaron interrupted her and said, But you've accepted my proposal already, unless you want to go back on your word. I don't, but we haven't gotten married after all. Your father doesn't want to accept me, and Raymond and Jessica are good friends with your father. Aaron understood her meaning. Are you worried that Uncle Raymond and Aunt Jessica might not like you? You're right, though. I won't ask you to come next time. You're my woman, so you have to be comfortable when we hang out. You don't need to come again if you don't want to. Hearing that, April finally felt slightly comfortable. Thankfully, he wasn't unreasonable about those things. At 10 o'clock that night, Raymond helped the awfully drunk Richard into the front seat. After that, Jeremy said to Jenica, Don't drive too fast. Text me when you're home. All right, I will. Certainly text you. Richard burped and waved his hand. I wasn't talking to you. Jeremy smiled. This kid gets drunk a lot more easily than before. That's because he hasn't been drinking in years. Raymond laughed and said, Come and visit us again. Uncle Raymond, see you. Jenica started the car and drove Richard away from the Rodriguez family. Watching the car driving away, Raymond patted his son on the back and said, I'll go back in. You drive Sylvia home. The yard suddenly fell into silence. Jeremy reached out a hand toward Sylvia and said, Give me the car key. I'll drive you home. No need. You haven't recovered completely yet. You'd better not drive for now, said Sylvia. She lowered her eyelids in the darkness, opened her mouth slightly, and continued, Jeremy, why didn't you tell us that you invited Jenica tonight? If I had told you about it, would you have agreed to let her come? Jeremy threw the question back at her. Jenica took the military academy examination with us that year. She rarely comes home. She doesn't have many friends here anymore. In fact, we're her only friends now. I know you've been having issues with her because of what happened before, but she's also a victim. Her parents got divorced. For some certain things, one person alone can't make it happen. This may sound bad, but I think your father and her mother are both responsible for what happened. Richard, I hope that we can still all be friends like we used to be. Sylvia raised her head and said, I know that she did nothing wrong. My brother and I aren't unreasonable people, so I've chatted and laughed with her just now. But tonight was different. I told you that April would be here too. If she hadn't come, everything would have been fine. I'm happy to see Jenica again. She's my friend too. But didn't you see the awkward expression on April's face? She felt awkward, so did Jenica. Jeremy frowned. Richard, in fact, I wanted to ask you this before. How long have you known April? Do you know her really well? Why do you always try to help her? Don't forget that Jenica grew up with us. Episode 231. If you keep giving Emily a hard time, I won't go on a date with you. Hearing his words, Sylvia wasn't comfortable. Jeremy, I didn't know that you have a prejudice against April, but now I've suddenly realized that, she said. I don't have a prejudice against her. I just don't know her well enough. Jeremy shook his head and said, For that reason, I'll naturally take Jenica's side. I don't take anyone's side. I only know that sometimes it's not about how long you've known a person. I've liked April since I first met her. Besides, she's my brother's girlfriend. You should believe my brother and stand in his shoes to think about this instead of putting everybody in an awkward situation. Jeremy asked abruptly, Do you think their relationship can last? What do you mean? Sylvia wasn't happy about it. Do you still want Jenica to be with my brother? Don't joke around. I'd be fine with it, but my mom wouldn't agree. Besides, that would be unfair to April. I was just saying, calm down. Jeremy hurriedly held her hands. But there's one thing you need to understand. We're going to get married, so Aaron and Jenica will see each other sooner or later. I know that, Sylvia said with a twist of her mouth. Enough talking. I'm going home. Drive slowly. Go to bed early and don't be angry. Jeremy smiled and pinched her cheeks. Sylvia pouted, threw a threatening glance at him, then got in the car and left. On the other side, a black Audi drove into town. Richard woke up from a nap, rubbed his eyes and said, Where are we? Benny, why am I not home yet? Jenica glanced at him and said, You're really drunk. I'm Jenica. Richard shook his head and said, All right. Benny and April went home. Went home. Hearing those words, a hidden sadness appeared in Jenica's eyes. Over the years, she had tried her best to harden herself and to forget about the past. However, she couldn't help thinking about that man every time she came back to the city. She had never seen him when she came back before, but every time she heard about him, she knew that he had been single the whole time. But this year, Jenica gripped the steering wheel and asked bitterly, "Richard, why have you never mentioned Aaron's girlfriend to me?" Yeah, haven't I?" Richard leaned his head on the window, looking very drunk. "Why, brother? You've broken up anyway, and you haven't started a new relationship. I don't want to aggravate you." Jenica turned down the radio and asked in a serious tone, "When did they meet each other? Can you tell me about it?" "It was the end of last year when Aaron's spine was injured in a car accident. April came to take care of him," Richard murmured in answer to her question. "Aaron had a car accident?" Jenica was shocked. "I knew nothing about that." "He told me to tell no one." Richard raised a hand to point in a random direction. "So April availed herself of the opportunity to get close to him at that time." Jenica slowed the car down. "I don't know, but back then, his body reacted to April." Richard smirked and said, "Sexual dysfunction, you know? Aaron was sick for years. The doctor tried everything but failed to cure him. But after April touched him, he was miraculously healed. His body only responds to her." Jenica's eyes popped in shock. She hurriedly pulled over, then grabbed Richard's arm and asked, "When did Aaron have sexual dysfunction? I didn't know about it." "Of course you didn't know about that." Richard covered his mouth for a second, then continued, "That's a secret. On his last mission, he had an accident because he suffered a huge hit from what happened between his parents. That part of his body was injured. It's been 7 years and he still hasn't recovered." "So he is with April only because his body responds to her?" Jenica held Richard's shoulders and shook him violently. Don't shake me, I feel dizzy." Richard slowly closed his eyes and didn't open them again. Jenica looked at him and her pretty face revealed all sorts of feelings, including delight, as well as a trace of sadness. At 10:30, as April got into bed, Aaron quietly came to her and slowly put an arm around her waist. April held his hand and said, "I don't want to do it tonight." "We didn't fight." Aaron blinked his black eyes. "I don't want to do it because I'm not in a good mood. Besides, we did it for such a long time last night. I'm tired. Can't I even have one day off?" April lowered her voice and gazed at him blandly. "Ever since our first time, I've only rested for one day, and that was the next day after our first time. We didn't do it that day because I wasn't feeling good. Except for that, we've done it every day." Aaron opened his mouth, but she didn't let him say anything. "Yes, I feel pleasure during sex," she continued, "but it doesn't mean that I'm not tired. Plus, I might get bored with this if we keep doing it." "Bored?" Aaron felt hurt. "Yes, like how you'd get bored eating the same kind of delicacy every day. You'd want to throw up." April nodded. Aaron let go of her and fell into silence. If she got bored with him, things would become really troublesome. But how could she get tired of him? He would never get tired of her. He enjoyed it so much every single day. "Also, you've seen your ex-girlfriend today. How come you're still in the mood to do something like this?" April asked grumpily. "Why can't I be in the mood? You've said that she's my ex-girlfriend. I have nothing to do with her." Aaron curled up in the blanket, stuck his head out, and looked at April with sad eyes. April suddenly didn't know what to say, so she pulled the blanket up and closed her eyes to sleep. However, she couldn't sleep as she was thinking about what had happened at the dinner. Unlike her, Aaron quickly fell asleep by her side. She gently turned around to look at his handsome face under the moonlight. All kinds of feelings welled up in her heart. The next day, she came downstairs with a pair of dark circles under her eyes. Aaron was having breakfast and gave her a glance. Then he stopped eating and said, "We just accidentally met my ex-girlfriend. Are you really so jealous that you couldn't even sleep well?" April threw a threatening glance at him. She wouldn't admit to that no matter what, so she responded, "I was thinking about my father. After I visited him in prison last time, I'm even more sure that he was framed." As she mentioned that, Aaron put down his chopsticks and said, "Earlier, I sent some people to dig into that case. Recently, I got a message that says the student who testified against your father left Lukesville long ago. She and her whole family have moved to Australia." April was stunned. "I remember that I asked around about that girl back then. Her family wasn't rich, were they? Her whole family moved abroad? Family migration isn't an easy thing to do, is it?" "It's easy for us, but for ordinary families it's still a little difficult, unless someone rich and powerful helped them," said Aaron. "I think your father really was framed." "I knew my father wouldn't do it. I'll definitely help him to overturn the verdict." April was so excited. "It'll be a little hard to reverse the conviction." Aaron thought for a moment and then said, First of all, we need to impeach every witness's testimony. But in my investigation, all the relevant people have either moved abroad or left Lukesville. Besides, it's been 2 years. So many details can't be verified now. To reinvestigate this case, we need to find all the people who were involved in it, and that will take at least half a year. Also, Isaac, as the key witness, is a big problem. As your ex-fiancé, his testimony is very powerful. We need to find out what exactly happened between him and your family, so I plan to start with him and dig up his real background. When I met him, he said that his parents were dead and that he grew up with an uncle. I believed him, said April, upset. Aaron shook his head and sighed. Your EQ is truly worrisome. April was speechless. Maybe she did have some EQ problems, but his EQ problems were definitely worse than hers. Don't worry, I'll handle our father's problem. Aaron dragged her over and made her sit on his lap. You said your father a minute ago, but now it's become our father, thought April. She was used to his shamelessness, but after hearing what he said, the unhappiness that she had said last night faded a little. She really shouldn't always think about Jenica. He was her man, and she had his virginity. Why would she worry about Jenica? Let's have dinner outside tonight. Aaron put an arm around her waist and picked up a glass of soy milk with the other hand. Why? She asked. I'm tired of eating Emily's food every day, he said. Emily was serving carrot egg pancake, and her heart broke when she heard that. Young master, you haven't been eating my food every day, have you? You only came back from vacation the day before yesterday, yet you're already tired of my food? You're not thinking about replacing me after a while, are you? Aaron gave Emily a threatening glance. You're constantly gaining weight, but never grow smarter. Can't you tell that I was just trying to find an excuse to make a date? He complained inwardly. Emily, don't worry. If he fires you, I'll leave with you. April hurriedly comforted Emily. What do you mean? Am I not as important as Emily in your heart? Aaron stared at her aggressively. Emily is a special person in my heart, like my mother. April spoke the truth. She's like a mother to you, but she isn't your mother, Aaron snorted. But that is good, though. If you ever do something wrong to me or dare to leave me, I'll fire Emily. No. Emily was so sad. Why are you wearing that extremely worried look? Do you think she'll leave me? Aaron turned to Emily with a grim look. Emily's voice trembled. If you keep giving Emily a hard time, I won't go on a date with you tonight, April warned him. Hearing that, Aaron stopped talking. I'm going wedding dress shopping with Sylvia today, said April. When will you go? In the afternoon. All right, I'll go pick you up when you're done, and then we'll have dinner together, Aaron said while quickly finishing his breakfast with one hand. Another thing, my company's annual vacation will start the day after tomorrow. There'll be a large annual party for employees that night. I'll give a speech at the party and give awards to the outstanding employees. You should attend the party with me. I don't think it's appropriate. Your company lost over $1 billion because of me this year. I'm afraid that they might eat me alive, said April. Silly, I want to bring you there and tell them that you're the future Mrs. Bennet. Aaron smiled. Speaking of which, most of our top managers' wives aren't pretty. They're all as chubby as Emily. Episode 232. April felt as if she had been brainwashed recently. Emily was both angry and sad. She hadn't even left. Young master, what's so wrong with being like me? The people who look like this are lucky, she said. Aaron nodded and responded, You're right. 7 years ago, when you first came here, you looked like April, and now you look like this. You have clearly been living a good life in my place. Emily didn't know what to say. April hurriedly looked at herself. She wouldn't become like Emily in 7 years, would she? Aaron smiled and said, Don't worry. Even if you become like Emily, I still won't abandon you. April snorted and said, What makes you think that you have the right to abandon me? 7 years from now, I'll only be 30, while you'll be almost 40. You'll be a middle-aged man. Aaron's face darkened. Nonsense. I'll still be a stylish man when I'm 40. April almost burst out into laughter. Stylish man. Aren't you ashamed to say that? She thought. I'm done talking. I need to go to work. Aaron let April go and stood up and said, I'll see you this evening. Aaron drove to the company. In the parking lot, he ran into an extremely hungover Richard. Richard was still yawning, and a few buttons of his shirt were left undone. When did you go home last night? Aaron asked casually. I don't remember. I was drunk. I only remember Jenica drove me back, nothing else. Richard knocked on his own head and said, You weren't a good friend last night. You left so early and let me handle Uncle Raymond alone, like you don't know that he never gets drunk. April was jealous. I had no other choice, Aaron said expressionlessly. I get it. Last night you and Jenica were dressed. Richard clicked his tongue and said, You two dressed like a couple last night. I might feel uncomfortable too if I were her. He laughed. So it's about the clothes. No wonder she was down the whole night last night, said Aaron knowingly. But last night I noticed the look on Jenica's face. I think she hasn't moved on. Richard didn't want to finish his sentence. I can understand. Aaron nodded and continued. It's indeed difficult for her to forget about being with a perfect man like me. However, she is a soldier. She should be steel-willed like the other soldiers. The corners of Richard's mouth twitched. She's a woman after all. Please don't talk about steel will or something like that, he said. Wasn't that what I admired about her back then? Said Aaron. Richard asked. So, do you still admire it now? I do, Aaron nodded. If this country had more women like that, it might grow stronger. Even though our country is now much stronger than before, in some aspects, there's still some distance between the United States and us. You see, what they've been doing in the Middle East recently. Damn, why are we suddenly talking about global politics? Richard felt so tired. Aren't we talking about your ex-girlfriend here? He asked. That's pretty much what I want to say to her. I honestly hope that she can continue to contribute to our country, and I admire her. But now I find that I like the weak and dramatic girls more, like April, said Aaron. Richard sighed. When is April weak and dramatic? There are a lot of things that you don't know yet. You'll learn when you get your own girlfriend. After saying that, Aaron turned and walked out of the elevator. He walked a few steps, then turned back and continued. My Bennett Noodle restaurant is opening very soon. Don't forget to come and have some noodles. I'll give you a 10% discount. Bennett Noodle Restaurant? Richard was bewildered. He hurriedly pressed a button to reopen the closing elevator door and said, When did you switch to noodle restaurants? Why didn't I know anything about it? There are 10 restaurants in Rosewood City all ready for opening. Aaron smiled. That's a surprise for April. She loves noodles the most. I'm letting you know in advance in case you decide to spread the news. The corner of Richard's mouth twitched. Not only likes noodles, but also everything else. He found out a little bit about that during their journey in California. Would she tell you what her favorite food is? You can't know her better than I do, Aaron said, then turned and left. Richard paused for a moment, then remembered what Aaron had said just now. 10% discount. Damn, we grew up together, even shared pants. But he's only going to give me a 10% discount? What kind of person is he? In the office, Marvin came in with a file for Aaron to sign. I'll bring April to Bennett Noodle Restaurant for dinner tonight. Let the restaurant manager know, said Aaron. Sure, Marvin nodded. You've made a good business plan for the Bennett chain restaurants. He nodded and continued approvingly. Time flies. It's the end of another year. I feel that many things happened this year. The most important one is that I'm no longer single. Your proposal plan was lame and it made me lose a diamond ring that was worth over $100 million. But overall, it wasn't bad. You'll get a pay raise. After hearing his last sentence, Marvin finally straightened his quivering legs. He really wanted to say, the proposal plan was fine. You lost the ring yourself, and that had nothing to do with me. Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Aaron let out a long breath and said, The night after tomorrow, after the award party, everyone's bonus will be doubled. After all, this year is special. On behalf of all of our employees, thank you, Mr. Bennett. Marvin hurriedly nodded. Yes, we know. We should all celebrate together as this year is the year you finally have a girlfriend, he thought. Another thing, make an hour for me this afternoon. I'm going to buy a ring, said Aaron. Marvin almost cried. Mr. Bennett, you've taken a rather long vacation. It's already amazing that you don't have to work overtime now. How can I possibly free up an hour in your schedule? You think I want this? I lost the ring last time and last night. April got jealous. I have to buy a new ring to make her happy. But Rosewood City is a small city. Normal jewelry stores in this city don't have 19-carat diamond rings in stock. Aaron sighed. Marvin wanted to die. Watching Mr. Bennett maintaining his relationship made him feel hopelessly poor. In the afternoon, April finished lunch and rested for a while. After that, Sylvia drove over to pick her up. Sylvia apologized once she saw April. April, I'm really sorry about last night. I honestly didn't know that Jeremy invited Jenica. It's okay. April smiled, recalling what Raymond and Jessica had said. Sylvia is close with me now, but after she and Jeremy get married, the Bennett family will probably try to keep her away from me, she thought. Even if she refuses, she might still fall into a difficult situation. April, what's wrong? You're being weird. Have you been having thoughts since you met Jenica? Sylvia asked hesitantly. My brother's a freak, but he won't do things that he shouldn't be doing. He's a very responsible person. I know. I was just surprised to see Jenica yesterday. April smiled. Me too, Sylvia sighed. I complained to Jeremy yesterday. I was really quite mad. I don't know why, but yesterday I felt a gap between him and me for the first time. Actually, I don't know him as well as I thought I did. Well, don't let me affect your relationship. April felt a little guilty. It's understandable. After all, Jeremy and I aren't familiar with each other. To try on another wedding dress. Since you said it's good, we'll take it. I'll go get changed. At that moment, all she wanted to do was get changed and come back out as quickly as possible in case April and Jenica might have to face each other alone. April guessed what Sylvia was thinking, so she hurriedly said to her, Didn't we pick 4 dresses? You've only tried on 2 of them. Just continue. Try them on all at once before making a decision. Your wedding day will be the most important day of your life. Make it perfect. But Sylvia hesitated. Miss April is right. Jeremy nodded and said to Sylvia affectionately, Maybe the other dresses are even prettier. I can't buy you the most expensive wedding dress, but you have to pick the most beautiful one. After Sylvia disappeared into the changing room, April said to Jeremy, Jeremy, I know that you may not like me, but after all, you and Sylvia are getting married very soon. I think, anyhow, that we should put aside our prejudice and do not do anything that might hurt your relationship with Sylvia. Like bringing Jenica here? Jeremy frowned slightly and said, Sylvia and I grew up together. Our relationship can't become unstable so easily. I have no bad intentions towards you, as the relationship between you and Aaron is firm enough not to be affected by me bringing over his ex-girlfriend. Also, don't think of Jenica as an indecent person. April smiled and said, I'm sorry. I don't know Jenica well, so I won't make any comments about her. All I can say is that I admire her for what she does and admire her spirit. But Jeremy, you need to be clear that the girl in the changing room is your fiancé, while the one out here is your friend. What do you mean? Jeremy's eyes turned slightly cold. You think something's going on between Jenica and me? I didn't say that. We can have opposite-sex friends, I understand that. But there are some things that we shouldn't overdo so we don't upset our other halves. No matter how close you are as friends, she still is a girl, April explained meaningfully. I don't need you to lecture me. Jeremy picked up a suit and walked into the changing room. In less than 2 seconds after he left, Jenica walked over behind a shop assistant. She picked a long pink gown. It was a nice color for the maid of honor. You go in first, she said to the shop assistant. The shop assistant nodded. As the 2 of them were left on the outside, April started talking first. Jenica, is there something that you want to say to me? You're the girlfriend of the man whom I've been deeply in love with, so I want to greet you sincerely. Jenica was tall enough to look down at April. April stopped smiling. You are quite frank, she said. I got used to being straightforward in the army. I've liked Aaron ever since I was a child, Jenica said honestly. April paused for a second without knowing what to say. She felt that Jenica had quite weird taste as she liked Aaron, who had obviously been a weirdo since he was little. April now liked Aaron very much too, but that only happened after she spent a while getting to know him. And since she had started to like Aaron, she often felt that she was becoming weird as well. I'm sorry, Jenica. You're already in the past tense. He likes me now, said April. Yeah? You think you know him well? Jenica fixed her sharp eyes on April and looked a little aggressive. What do you know about him? I know that he's hard to get along with, but when you understand him, you'll find the good in him. April wore a bland look. But Jenica, I don't think I need to say this to you. You 2 broke up a long time ago. Do you know why Aaron was single for such a long time until he met you? Jenica's face showed faint pity. April's heart missed a beat. Jenica's words seemed to have some other meaning. She stayed silent but calmly looked into Jenica in the eyes. 8 years ago, he was injured during a mission in the army. Do you know which part of his body was injured? Jenica asked. April was puzzled for a second, then responded, I don't know. But he said that because of that injury, he couldn't stay in the army. That's why he retired. Yeah, one part of his body was injured, and that is the most important part of a man's body. I think you know what I mean. Jenica carefully observed every expression on April's face. April remained silent. Did Jenica mean that part? How could Aaron have such a large sexual appetite if he had that kind of problem? In fact, the injury was healed years ago. However, because of some psychological problems, he couldn't recover until he met you. You unintentionally touched him when cleaning his body, and his body responded to you. That's why he decided to be with you. Until now, only you could make his body respond. Do you understand? He wouldn't have chosen you if not for physiological needs. I admit that you're pretty and that you're good at studying, but there are countless pretty girls around Aaron, and almost every one of them has overseas education. Jenica's voice became pressing. We all know about this. Otherwise, why do you think his mother accepted you so easily? Aunt Caitlin knows about his illness, and the Bennett family needs descendants. He doesn't love you. He never started any other relationship after we broke up, and neither did I. All these years, I often missed him so badly, but as long as I knew that he was still single, I'd still have hope. April's head was buzzing. She never knew about that illness. She thought carefully, then recalled that when she gave Aaron a sponge bath for the first time, his body did react, and he seemed to be excited about it. Afterward, he hurriedly called Dr. Henry and Richard, and he didn't let her hear their conversation. After that, Caitlin suddenly showed up, sent Derek away, and let her give Aaron close care. If you don't believe me, you can go back and try to find the medical records. I believe there'll be many records, as he's been through years of treatments, said Jenica. Miss April, I said all this to you for your own good. Aaron's body is now reacting to you, but that doesn't mean he's recovered. He has psychological problems. Do you think he'll still need you after he recovers? I believe that you're an independent woman and that you don't exist just to fulfill someone's needs. April tightened her cheeks. She tried not to act inappropriately, but her hands, which were hiding in her sleeves, had already clenched into fists. Even her slow breathing was giving her pain. She felt that someone was violently slapping her face. Episode 234. She's all right. She's an adult. She'll be fine. What was she? A tool to fulfill his sexual needs? Her heart shivered. A while later, she raised her head and gave a smile as she wasn't willing to admit defeat. So, Miss Louise, would you like to try it with Aaron and see if his body reacts to you too? As April hadn't collapsed as she expected, Jenica was a little stunned. In the army, she admired women like that. However, she felt a little vexed now as April was her rival in love. Have you tried it with him? As far as I know, he was a virgin before we got together, said April coldly. You just said that you had hope knowing he was single. What was to be hoped for? Did you think he had that disease because he couldn't forget you and loved you so deeply? You're right. If I wasn't able to cure him, I wouldn't have had a chance to be with him. But if he was healthy, would you have had a chance? He would have had girlfriends long ago, and I don't think he ever missed you as his first girlfriend. Jenica's sharp eyes showed an intense change of emotion. April's words were like sharp swords. Do you think he'd choose you if I left? April smiled and continued. Would Ms. Bennett ever accept you? I'm afraid that the entire Bennett family wouldn't accept you. Miss Louise, I'm going to give you a piece of advice. For some things, you need to think positively. It's been so long. If it's not yours, don't be obsessive. I can tell you this. Last night, you and Aaron saw each other again. Maybe you thought that he would be choked up with emotion and have all sorts of complicated feelings, but you were wrong. When we got back, he only wanted to have sex with me. He's forgotten all about his puppy love. Even if I'm only someone to fulfill his needs, I'm still better than you. April was not a pushover. Back when Isaac and Rosaria humiliated her again and again, she survived. The current situation was nothing to her, as Jenica was alone. Ms. April, you are a woman. Please respect yourself. You don't need to be so aggressive. I didn't mean to humiliate you. Jenica's face somehow sharpened. As for whether Aaron will choose me in the future, that'll depend on what we can do. I'll try the gown on. She walked straight into another fitting room. April remained standing quietly. Her slim reflection could be seen on the wall in front of her. She had acted like a winner just now, but at this moment she looked like a rooster that had just lost a fight. She had only won with words. What if what Jenica said was true? It was so ridiculous. A man was with her because of his sexual needs. How could such an illness even exist in this world? Sylvia came out of the changing room while complaining. This dress has such complicated laces. Took me forever to get them right. Seeing April staring at the wall, she paused for a second and then asked, April, what's wrong? Jenica didn't say anything to you, did she? While speaking, she hurriedly looked around, alarmed. No, April forced a smile and said, You look nice in this dress too. Yeah, I think every dress is pretty. Well, sometimes being too beautiful can bring you trouble too. Sylvia chuckled. Wait for Jeremy to see this. He's the bridegroom. You should choose whichever he likes, April suggested. Don't mention him to me. I'm really mad at him right now, Sylvia complained. Right at that moment, Jeremy walked out in a dark blue suit. He looked tall and strong in that suit. Even April couldn't help but admit that he was very manly looking. He looked handsome in military suits and no less charming in a business suit. No wonder Sylvia loved him so deeply all the time. No matter how handsome he was, she was now in no mood to appreciate his good looks. Sylvia, since Jeremy and Jenica are both here, I'll be leaving. You've tried on a few anyway. Later, they'll help you with the decision, said April. Sylvia wanted to ask April to stay, but understood how awkward she was feeling. It wasn't appropriate to force her to stay. But how will you get back? Maybe you can grab a seat somewhere and have a cup of coffee. I'll drive you back later. Sylvia honestly felt guilty. It's okay, I'll just take a taxi. You take your time, there's no rush. April glanced at Jeremy. April, thank you for your help, said Jeremy politely. You're welcome. April curved her lips in a faint smile, then turned and left. As April disappeared from her sight, Sylvia angrily glared at Jeremy. Before she said anything, Jenica came out of the fitting room in the dress that she had picked. Sylvia had no choice but to choke back the words on her lips and force a smile. April returned to the villa by taxi. Derek had gone out to walk Richard, and Emily was sitting on the couch having a video chat with her friends. Seeing April come back, she greeted her. April, weren't you shopping for wedding dresses with Sylvia? Why are you back so soon? It's done, April said, then quickly went upstairs to the bedroom. She dropped her bag and searched through the room, but found no medical records at all, not even the records about Aaron's spine injury. Normally people wouldn't throw medical records away, so she assumed that they were collected somewhere in this house. She searched in the study, but still found nothing. At last, she went to the storage room on the top floor and rummaged around for a while. Before giving up, she found a stack of files from the innermost shelf, including medical certifications, laboratory test results, CT scans, X-rays, and all sorts of other records. The one on top was the record of his spine injury, which had happened last year. April read those files from front to back. Some of those records were from his military years, and some were his annual medical examination reports. When she had almost given up and believed that Jenica made that story up, she suddenly found an X-ray of a male reproductive system that was taken half a month ago. They hadn't yet started having sex at that time. Her heart sank as she continued reading those files. Finally, she found a series of records regarding the male reproductive system. Some of them were from specialized hospitals in New York, France, and many other places. The oldest ones have dated 8 years ago, and the newest one was from half a month ago. April put down those files, feeling like she was sitting in an ice house. What Jenica said was true. Until now, Aaron's body wasn't able to react to any other woman but her. He had such a strong sexual desire. He wanted it every single night, so of course he needed someone to satisfy his needs. She was that woman to satisfy his needs. He proposed to her because his body only responded to her. He had no other choice. He said that he liked her and that he wouldn't do the things that he shouldn't be doing, but those were lies. He had been keeping the truth so strictly secret from her. She couldn't describe the feelings that she had when putting those medical records back onto the shelf. Back in the bedroom, April sat on the balcony. She didn't know how long she spent there until the ringing of her phone woke her up from her thoughts. She glanced at the phone and saw Aaron's name on the screen. It was 5:30 already. She didn't answer the call, but muted her phone and let it keep buzzing. Aaron called her repeatedly for a while, and then Sylvia called her. April didn't answer even one call. 5 minutes later, Emily knocked on the door, came in, and said, April, I thought you were sleeping. Aaron's been calling you all this time. Why don't you answer his calls? He's really worried about you. I thought you had an accident. April invigorated herself with an effort to look back at Emily. Perhaps Emily was the only one in this house who truly cared about her. Tell him that I won't go, she said. Why? Emily was stunned. Aren't you two going to have a candlelight dinner? Did Aaron make you unhappy, or are you feeling unwell? No, I just don't want to go. April turned her face away. All right. Emily felt it was inappropriate for her to ask any further questions, so she turned around and called Aaron. April's auntie came to visit her. She isn't feeling well.
Auntie?
Aaron was surprised.
April doesn't even have a mother. Where did this auntie come from? Did her auntie make her angry? She's even feeling unwell.
Emily was speechless for a while. Aaron, by auntie, I mean she's on her period, not a real auntie, she explained.
Just say period then. Why say auntie? So complicated.
Aaron sighed with relief.
But why is she suddenly on her period? The app on my phone didn't remind me about that.
Menstruation can be irregular sometimes. It may start earlier or later, said Emily.
Is that normal?
Yes.
All right, I'll come home for dinner.
Emily ended the call, then turned and said to April, April, you heard that. I told Aaron that you're on your period. I don't know why you're having a fight, but Aaron is certainly going to be upset because you stood him up. Just don't tell him the truth, and don't tell him that I lied. If he knew that I lied to him, he'd deduct it from my wages. April didn't know what to say. She was sad, but after hearing what Emily said, she was very speechless. Bennett Restaurant. Aaron ended the call, stood up from the chair, and said, I'm not going to eat here. Close up for today. The shop manager was a little confused. Mr. Bennett, the restaurant has been turned into an ocean of flowers. The chef spent an entire day preparing the beef soup. Aren't you going to taste it? Yeah, my woman is on her period. She can't be here, so we'll come some other day. Aaron frowned and said, Give these flowers and the beef soup to your wife. These are all imported flowers. They're very expensive. The shop manager felt pain over the wasted money. In fact, being on her period isn't a big deal. You can just send the chauffeur to pick her up. I can do nothing about it. She doesn't want to come, and I can't force her. Maybe my woman's period is unique. It just made her especially fragile. Aaron sighed and slowly walked toward the door. By the door, he stopped and continued, Wait, she loves beef noodles the most. Just pack some for me, and don't put too much chili in it. Yes, sir. The shop manager nodded hurriedly. After getting into the car with the packed beef noodles, Aaron got a call from Sylvia.
Brother, have you found April yet?
She's at home. She's on her period, not feeling well.
Good then.
Sylvia sighed with relief.
Bye.
As Sylvia put her phone down, Jeremy said to her as he was driving, Now you can relax. She's all right. She's an adult. She'll be fine. Sylvia turned to look at him silently. She had missed him countless times and thought fondly of the time they had spent together. But now she found him becoming more and more unfamiliar to her. Jeremy, did you know that I'm really angry today? I said so much to you last night. You knew that I asked April to come help me choose a wedding dress. So why did you suddenly bring Jenica over? Episode 235. From now on, I hate beef noodles the most. I brought her here because I wanted her to try on the maid of honor's gown. Jeremy frowned. Didn't I explain that to you? Speaking of maid of honor, now let's talk about that. When did I ask her to be my maid of honor? Sylvia felt irritable and angry. Before, when we got engaged, you said Jenica had to be your maid of honor, said Jeremy. As you said, that was before. How long has it been? 7 or 8 years? My dad and her mom hadn't had an affair back at that time, said Sylvia. She was driven beyond endurance. Jeremy detected the unhappiness from her words. But you said yesterday that she was a victim too. Yeah, she was, but so were my brother and I. How many more times do you need me to say this? I don't hate her and we're still friends. But before you asked her to be my maid of honor, did you think about my mother's feelings? The more she talked, the angrier Sylvia got. Jeremy, you weren't a victim of what happened back then, so you don't understand how we feel. Jeremy explained. It has been so many years. Maybe your mother still hates Aunt Esma, but she watched Jenica grow up. You said that because you don't understand how women feel. Aunt Esma used to be my mom's best friend, but in the end, she got together with my dad. Now you want the daughter of the woman who took away her husband to be her own daughter's maid of honor? That's like piercing a thorn into her heart. Sylvia turned to look at Jeremy and continued, A mother should feel touched and happy at her daughter's wedding, but because of what you did, she'll only be reminded of that ugly history. If you don't believe me, you can call my mom and talk to her right now to see how she'll react and what attitude she'll have toward you. Jeremy fell into silence. Sylvia carried on. What's even more ridiculous is that you actually asked my brother to be your best man just now. Do you think our wedding will be too happy? Is that why you brought up such a ridiculous suggestion to upset everyone? Sylvia, is that how you think about me? Jeremy tightened his voice. We've been through so much and we are finally getting married. Do you have to say those hurtful words? You felt that way because you never considered my feelings. Sylvia's face wore disappointment. First, you decided not to come back without considering your fiancé's feelings. Now, as we're finally getting married, you refuse to consider my mother's feelings and my brother's, and neither are you aware of what a difficult position you've put me in. Is this because of Jenica? Jeremy knitted his eyebrows. She's been our mutual friend since long ago. Don't you already know that? Haven't I been considering your brother's feelings? He's my best friend. Would I ever hurt him? You heard it just now. My brother's been calling me the whole time saying that April won't answer his calls. I'm just too ashamed to tell him that April met Jenica this afternoon when shopping for wedding dresses with me. Sylvia gave a bitter smile. This morning he called me especially to tell me that before the wedding, do not invite April to any occasions that Jenica will be at, in case she sees Jenica and gets unhappy. But that happened this afternoon because you brought Jenica over. If I told my brother about what happened, he'd have a problem with you. I didn't tell him because I don't want to ruin your friendship that has lasted for so many years. Jeremy rubbed his forehead and responded, What do you want me to do then? Jenica has tried on her maid of honor gown already, and she's sincerely happy for us getting married. But now you don't want her to be your maid of honor? How would she feel about that? Yeah, you only care about her feelings. Sylvia nodded, feeling indescribably sad. You're ignoring my feelings. Is she your fiancé or am I? How can you say something like that? She's our mutual friend. Jeremy's face showed disappointment as well, not to mention the fact that she was a victim too. Didn't she avoid coming home because of your brother? She's been through many hardships out there over the years. You were a soldier too, so you know how hard being a female soldier can be. Why can't you just be more considerate to her? Be more considerate to her? Who will be considerate to me then? Sylvia closed her eyes and said, Pull over. Stop being unreasonable, said Jeremy. I said pull over, Sylvia repeated loudly, or I'll jump. Only after hearing that did Jeremy slowly stop the car by the roadside. Sylvia quickly opened the door and got out of the car. We're getting married soon. Do you have to do this now? Jeremy grabbed her by the arm. Only for April Eisenberg? This isn't only for April. This is more for myself. Sylvia raised her head. Her eyes had turned slightly red. Jeremy, do you love me? Why would I marry you if I didn't care about you? Do you love me? Sylvia interrupted him. Jeremy paused briefly, slightly opened his mouth, but stayed silent for a few seconds. All right, I get it. Sylvia threw off his hand, turned, and left. Sylvia, what do you want to know? Come back with me. Jeremy leaned forward and grasped her hand again. I know that you wouldn't hesitate at all if you loved me. Sylvia freed her own hand from him once again and burst out screaming. If you asked me the same question, I'd give you an answer immediately. What about you? You needed to hesitate, to think. What is your love to me? I think you should think carefully about why you're marrying me. Are you marrying me because of your responsibility or because of guilt? After saying that, she called a taxi and left. Jeremy stood there watching the taxi leave. His eyes contained a trace of confusion. Bennett Villa. Aaron walked in with the beef noodles. Seeing him coming back, Emily flinched with a guilty feeling and said, Aaron, April is upstairs. Aaron went upstairs. The light in the bedroom was on. April was curled up on the couch playing a game with her phone. She didn't raise her head when he came in. I'm back. Why won't you even look at me? Aaron walked up to her and bent over to look at her face. Why didn't you answer my calls? I called you many times. We made a date this morning. I know that you're on your period, but you could have told me about that. I waited there for half an hour. April ignored him but kept playing the game. Stop playing that. Aaron took away her phone, then took a deep breath and said, Never mind. Women are always in weird moods during their periods. I don't blame you. Emily says that you don't feel well. What's wrong? Should I call Dr. Henry? April finally raised her head to look straight at his handsome face. She just couldn't understand why he had sexual dysfunction and why that illness was so weird that his body only responded to her. Does he even like me, even a little bit? She wondered. Why are you looking at me like that? Aaron frowned. Are you feeling extremely unwell? Can't you even talk? I'm calling Dr. Henry right now. I'm not. April finally started talking in a tired voice. Don't call him. I just want a quiet moment. Eat some beef noodles then. Aaron put the packed beef noodles on the tea table. Instead of eating the beef noodles, April wanted to pour them on Aaron's head. I don't want to eat them, she said. Why? Aaron said, stunned. These are your favorite beef noodles. When did I say that my favorite is beef noodles? April got angry. That's what you've been thinking the whole time. You've never really tried to know about me. How come you think I don't know about you? Aaron didn't like what she had said. I know you from head to toe. I even know your favorite sex position. Normally, April would feel shy if she heard that, but today that brought up an objection. All right, tell me my favorite food, she said. Beef noodles. What I hate the most? Isaac Davidson. What do I hate to do the most? Leave Aaron. April was speechless. Did I get all correct answers? He looked at her confidently. All wrong. April closed her eyes and said, We live together. Have you really not noticed what I eat the most or what I always order? My favorite food is shrimp, and what I hate the most are steamed buns and cabbage. The thing I hate the most is people lying to me. The answers you just gave are only what you think. Aaron blinked and nodded. I'll keep those in mind, but don't always question me. Let me ask you the same questions, and please answer them. Okay, said April. Your favorite food is fish, and the food you like the least are green vegetables. The thing you hate the most is people disobeying you. You're wrong. I like all the food you make, and of course, what I like to eat the most is you. The kind of food that I hate the most is unclean food. The thing I dislike the most is you giving other men gifts. Aaron smiled and said, You see, you can't get all the answers right either, so don't always accuse me. April rubbed her chest. Her heart was aching, and she was full of sadness already. But now, aside from that sadness, she also felt strong depression. Yeah, you like to eat me the most. You can just say that. You like to have sex the most, she said. Yes, I like to have sex. I like it the most. Aaron nodded. April sneered. I'm really sorry then. I'm on my period, so I can't do it with you. Aaron knitted his eyebrows and responded, Yes, I'll have to wait for a week. Get out. April ran out of patience. Eat the beef noodles then? I'm not going to eat them. From now on, I hate beef noodles the most. April threw the beef noodles on the floor. Aaron stared at the beef noodles. That was the first bowl of beef noodles that the Bennett restaurant had made for her, and he had put months of effort into that noodle restaurant. However, she had thrown it on the floor just like that. What she had wasted was not only a bowl of beef noodles, but also his heart. April calmed down after making the crazy move. She didn't know what had happened to her just now. She just suddenly lost control of herself. Hearing him mentioning sex, she felt especially annoyed. She really wanted to be frank with him and ask him some questions. However, she believed that he would never admit to having that illness. She had given so much for this relationship, so she wanted to stay calm and to feel it with her heart carefully. However, the more she felt, the more she found that he was all about sex now. The two of them spent a short while staring at each other silently. Aaron took a few deep breaths in a row to prevent himself from losing his temper with a woman who was on her period. Does your period make you crazy? I won't fight with you. Aaron went downstairs and asked Emily to come up to clean the floor.